Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Good morning and welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-hosts, John Luke Garofalo and Andrew Cooper. What's up, boys?
Good morning.
Morning.
You guys doing all right? Bright and early this AM?
I am.
Just still basking in the glow of another tremendous victory from our Lord and Savior, the
Tom
GOAT.
Brady.
Thomas
Patrick Brady. His middle name's Patrick, right? Or did I just make that
It
up out
is.
of nowhere?
Now you
Cool.
nailed it, dude.
That would be weird if you made it up.
Sometimes you think you know things and you just say a middle name and you're like, I'm not confident I know that, but that piece of like that name came to mind for a reason. And that was how I felt there.
So Tom Brady's first son with Bridget Moynihan, his middle name is also Edward, but his name is Jack Edward Thomas Brady, so his name is Jet.
Wait, did you just say his middle name was also Edward?
Yeah,
As in Tom Brady's middle name is Edward, not Patrick?
I mean,
That's what I was wondering.
he's got like 5 middle names. He's one of those. He's a rich kid baby, so you got to have at least like 6 names.
You got
Is
to
that
have
a
some
rich
names.
kid thing?
Yeah,
his name's John Edward Thomas Moynihan, but they call him Jack. So yeah, he's got 5 names.
It works out.
Jack.
We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Tommy in here with the Coop, Jail, and Simon are my reason for daily rhyming. Yip Skiddly D. It's time for the Fantasy 3. Yip Skiddly D. Craig over here saying the FYF Morning Show is back. Just don't call it a comeback. Now we're back, and we're going to be back again tomorrow and the next day and the next day until I forgot to count until Friday happened. Maria in here with the Ayo. What up, Maria? Welcome in. Good morning.
Yeah.
Glad to have you here. And guys, boy did we have a freaking game last night. I hope no one went to bed before that happened, but it is time to talk about that and any other news from around the league that we think needs to be brought up this morning. It is BYOB, bring your own breakfast. So I hope you guys came prepared with something to eat. We got everything else you're going to need this AM.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I mean, so the number one news we have to talk about is because it happened after our show yesterday, right? Panthers releasing Baker Mayfield, boys. This is wild, dude. He has to be set free, released. Where do you think he goes, dude? Where do you want him to go?
Where do I want him to go?
Yeah,
the San Francisco 49ers. That is the kind of team that whenever Baker Mayfield was looking for a new team would have been the perfect landing spot for him. The dude can be an excellent game manager. We've seen it with the Cleveland Browns. It's when he has to start playing hero ball, the mistakes start coming because the dude's not one to back down from a challenge for better or worse, even if he's incapable of overcoming it. The San Francisco 49ers, we've talked about it, have a great offensive line, one of the best left tackles in the league. He's got Christian McCaffrey back. I know he didn't utilize him well in Carolina, but he was also behind one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. He's got Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. It seems like the perfect spot for a game manager like Baker Mayfield to come in and guide them there. That being said, I know there's a lot of other teams ahead of them in waiver priority, but it feels like there would be some defense potentially preventing him from getting to the 49ers.
I'm glad you picked the 49ers because as a agent of chaos myself, rooting for whatever makes for the most memes and fun things to talk about. I hope that the Rams come in and claim him. Just even though their season's pretty much over, they put their quarterback on IR. I would love for them to just block the 49ers. Just stick it to him. $1.3 million alley-oop dunk all over him. Just not up in here.
So Dustin had brought this up in our Discord yesterday, and Ari Myroff tweeted about it. He said, regarding the waiver wire, Baker Mayfield, the 49ers are 25th on the waiver wire order. Texans are number 1. The Rams, who just placed Matthew Stafford on IR and have a rivalry with San Francisco and don't have a first-round pick, are 4th. So any team claiming him, like you alluded to, Coop, would owe $1.3 million.
Bingo,
So,
dude.
Be interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think the 49ers make the most sense. I'm with Simon on that. I don't know that the Texans make any sense, really. Rams, no sense apart from just sticking it to San Francisco.
No, the Rams' offensive line is terrible. And we've seen Baker Mayfield behind bad offensive lines. It doesn't work. Like, that would literally just be a FU San Fran move, I feel like. Like, they know it's not going to work if they bring him over there. That's not going to fix their season.
Wild. Ian Rappaport gave some details on this release. Apparently, like Coop said, he did ask for it, and the Panthers agreed. This locks in the 5th rounder in the trade with the Browns rather than a 4th rounder. And PJ Walker is expected to be the Panthers' backup.
Peach should be the starter.
Those conditional trades, dude. I got to start making conditional trades in Dynasty because too many times I make a trade and then I don't even use the guy. I'm going to start telling people, like, hey, if this guy cracks my lineup, then it will be a 2nd, but otherwise it's a 3rd. We should start working those in.
We should.
That would add another wrinkle to it, right? Because, like, it's just like the NFL. If putting them in your lineup gives you a better chance to actually win, you're gonna do it. Like you're gonna do it. You're not gonna make your team worse and sacrifice a championship to avoid that draft pick. But if you can if that player sucks or if you don't need him, you can get some of that value back. I don't mind it.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Maria said, "No home for Baker Mayfield." A much sadder commercial. Oh man,
Baker Mayfield.
that is so
homeless
sad.
with Baker Mayfield. God,
homeless. Oh my god. That's
yikes!
awful.
Yeah, that one just got pretty bad for Baker right there. No, I also when I first saw this, I was like, "What the hell? Why are the Panthers releasing him?" But Coop, you mentioned it. He has to be released. It's them doing him a solid. It's them looking out for Baker Mayfield. So shout out to the Panthers. Give the dude another shot this season instead of making him wait until the offseason. We'll see where he ends up. I imagine he'll end up playing somewhere. Like a team that needs a starter will likely pick him up and give him a real opportunity.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan. This comes from Matt Maiko on Twitter. He said Kyle Shanahan was asked about Baker Mayfield. He said they looked into everything and they will talk about it. He said he's always been a fan of Mayfield, but said he feels pretty good with where we're at right now.
What did he say? He feels pretty good about where they're at right now.
Oh, ho, ho,
Hey.
Brock Purdy or Baker Mayfield? Who would you want as your quarterback in the playoffs on the San Francisco 49ers if you're Kyle Shanahan? Do you want the 7th round rookie or the former 1st overall pick who we've seen have a successful season?
I'd want Baker Mayfield.
Even
if you go with Brock Purdy for like the short term, just because he knows the playbook, I don't think it hurts to get Baker on the team. You lost your 2 starting quarterbacks. So I would just bring anybody in you can that you think would even help. Even if he never starts, it's worth $1.3 million just to see. Because sometimes, I mean, you don't know until you get those guys in camp and have them next to each other. You could bring Baker in and it could be night and day that he's just much better. Or it could just confirm that the guy you have is the best option available. But it's worth it for peace of mind to put that claim in.
You ever think about how we just talk about 1.3 million? It's worth it just to find out. Like,
I know.
Like we just talk about that so casually.
1.3 mil.
And for me, sometimes like I'll put the soda back at the gas station. Know what I mean? Like I'm like
after you take a sip.
No, like in my hands, I'm going to check out and I'm like, you know what? I'll just drink water at home. And I put that back. But then we're talking here and I fully agreed with Coop. I shook my head immediately. Like, yeah, that's worth 1.3 million. You should do that immediately. Doesn't matter what it is, just to find out.
How funny money to them.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like the DiBartolo York family, like that's like finding change in the couch. You know what I mean? They're just like, yeah, whatever. Write that off. 1.3 million.
Write that off. Tommy in the chat saying he can always live in the Heisman house with Tebow. Yeah, I think there's a room.
Heisman house looks like not comfortable though. It seems like they're always up to shenanigans.
Contentious.
And then Tommy also saying Russ retires, Baker to the Broncos next year.
Russ
I'm
retires would be such a petty move.
He honestly could though, dude. The guy's got so much money, and his wife has so much money. That's yeah.
Unless he wants more bathrooms, he's going to have to keep playing football. But if he doesn't want more bathrooms, they can probably call it a day. Man, Broncos fans, I feel like would just be like, are you kidding me? Like the perception of Baker Mayfield isn't very good. Know what I mean? They get Russell Wilson, and then they're like, really? Our solution is Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield replaced on the Browns, cut from the Panthers. You're going to bring him over here to fix this team.
Yeah. Speaking of that situation, I saw a stat yesterday. Geno Smith now has 6 straight games with a 100+ passer rating, tying Russell Wilson's Seahawk record. So,
Oh man,
he's just erasing Russell Wilson history over there, just beating all his records. Oh, dude, that is
one
crazy.
season as the starter, and he's already tied it. Oh man, I know what I'm cheering for this weekend. I would love to see Geno Smith in that first season just come out and steal that record away. And I don't hate Russ. It would just be fun to see Geno get that done in 1 year.
It's fun.
Craig said we need to get Baker on. Craig said we need to get Baker on 13 teams in his career. Then there can be a Baker's Dozen documentary when he retires.
God, that would be fantastic.
That 30
Smell
for
delicious.
30 is going to be hot.
Teams. I mean, how many teams did Ryan Fitzpatrick play for?
8,
Even
if
you mean
I remember correctly.
Yeah, 13 is wild, dude. He's got a long way to go. I'm pulling for it.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick was on 8, I'm pretty sure. 13 would be quite the accomplishment. I wonder if there's ever a player that has played on 13 teams. Keith,
I bet there's
let me know.
I bet there's yeah, Keith, please pull that up.
Get on it.
Come on, Keith.
There's got to be some like journeyman special teams guy.
Keith just went like
kinda
this.
floating around.
You guys see did you guys see Garrett Wilson's quote on Mike White?
No.
He had a pretty strong take. He said he was out there controlling the huddle, never letting the moment get too big. It was cool to see. Looking back on it now, it's cool to think about. I know I'd go to war for that boy. He's got something special about him. Some pretty strong words in support of Mike White right there. I'd go to war for him.
Building an army.
And that's wild, dude. And the thing is, like, when you say that about Mike White, it also kind of implies that there's nothing special about Zach Wilson. It's like, I've played with 3 quarterbacks this year. This one has something special about him, right? Like, kind of an indictment. Another Zach Wilson indictment. I'm starting to lose track of all of them.
Yeah, speaking of that, Zach Wilson will continue to be inactive, Saleh said. Joe Flacco is the backup.
Ouch.
So he also came out and said that they plan to play Zach Wilson again this year. From Saleh, he said that too, which that's just some pure coach speak. I feel like that means nothing to me. If Mike White is out there giving you one of the best offenses in the NFL, when Zach Wilson was out there, you had one of the worst offenses in the NFL. You keep playing Mike White. Now that could all come crashing down quickly this weekend when they play Buffalo, but wait and see. Wait and see if that happens. Maybe Mike White's a different man than he was last year.
I see Albert in the chat said, good morning. I see Craig in the chat. Good morning. I guess we already talked about Craig's don't call to come back comment, didn't we?
We did. Spooky season up in. Good morning, fellas. We're getting the gang
Fellers.
together. Awesome.
The gang's all here.
Too. The gang's here.
Albert said Josh Johnson is on the 49ers now, isn't he? That's a good question. Is he?
Sure.
That's a guy. That's a guy that could have played for 13 teams.
He is on the San Francisco 49ers. Josh Johnson is. Good call, Albert. And Albert saying, how many teams did Josh McCown play for? Yeah, that dude probably did play for close to 13 teams. I feel like he made his rounds around the league.
I still remember that one year where he just like backdoored his way into becoming the Bears starting quarterback, and he was amazing. Like he, over a stretch of games, he threw to end the season, threw like 13 TDs and only like 2 picks. And everybody on the team was fantasy relevant. Every single player. It was like Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey, Matt Forte, Martellus Bennett. Like Josh McCown was just a legend. And then the next year, Tampa Bay threw a bunch of money at him to be their quarterback, and it was a train wreck. Like it's funny how that happens sometimes. The guy just flashes and then dust.
He was in Cleveland as well for a bit, and I feel like unless I'm misremembering who it was, I'm pretty sure McCown was the guy who got like full on helicoptered trying to dive for the end zone, like the iconic helicopter where he dove and then just got smacked and he's doing full spins in the air.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I remember about Josh
I remember
McCown.
that. We were calling that one Black Hawk McCown.
That's pretty good. I
That was
like
good,
that one.
dude. Yeah.
I need to read up on Albert's comment here because Craig had mentioned Josh Johnson on Denver has been on 14 teams, which is the most ever supposedly.
Wow, dude. That's wild, man. That guy must be the best scout
Gets
team.
around.
He must be the best scout team quarterback ever because he has like firsthand knowledge of half the team's playbooks, right? So he's like, you know, you're getting ready to play a team. He already played for that team. He's just like, here's what they do. You know, that's a valuable guy to have, I feel.
Yeah.
Unless he
Right?
sucks. Like if you
Unless
can't
he
recreate
sucks.
the playbook to
It
like
gets
a reasonable
just-
degree.
That just gets the defense all fired up, dude. They're like, this is going to be an easy game. When they realize.
Just throw him in a jersey of the opposing team. Josh Johnson, they'll believe it. He's got a jersey from all these teams already. He doesn't even need to have one provided. He just reaches into his closet. And he's
Aren't
like,
you?
Brings
Didn't
it
you
to
get released? Aren't you on a different team now?
the Broncos. Let me throw that one on.
That's wild.
Do you think he keeps the same number from team to team? I feel like switching teams that many
I think he
times
could.
as a backup level player, the odds of you having the same number are very small.
No
Yeah.
chance, dude. To be able to keep the same number, you got to be able to afford to buy it off whoever has it. And I don't. Josh Johnson's just like, whatever you got. What's left over?
Right.
19 sounds good. He was really-
He was able.
It doesn't matter. I won't be here long.
He was able to keep it from a couple teams here. So he's been 11, 8, 9, 15. But he had a couple seasons where the people let him have 11 and 8, it seems.
If either of you guys ever had a number growing up, what was it? Like, did you have a preferred sports number? 4 for you,
I was
JL?
always 12.
Always
Number
12.
Number 1 and number 2.
Wow.
What about you?
I didn't really play number sports.
You guys know numbers in wrestling?
No, we didn't have
Like
numbers
ping
in
pong,
wrestling.
table tennis.
Wrestling
No,
and
no
cross
numbers.
country were my high school
Ultimate?
sports, so I didn't really have numbers.
They had numbers for
Cross
cross
country,
country.
you got numbers. It's
I
like
mean,
474.
They would give you a different race bib every time, so I had a different number every time I
They call
stepped
that a
out for a
bib?
race.
What was your favorite race bib number that you had?
Call it a
Um,
bib, a race bib.
I'm pretty sure that's what they're called,
Fine.
unless I just made that up.
That's a
cross
hilarious.
cross
name
country
of
goes out of
all
their
the
way.
things.
They go out of their way just to make things lamer and lamer, don't they?
You could have named that anything. You named it a
Here's
bib.
Here's a bib, you little slob. don't get lost in the woods, you know? Like
You're gonna go forage. You're gonna go forage for some scraps to eat, you little pig.
You
Here's
little-
your bib. You little stinky pig.
You little fat pig.
so my
Go
wife
run. Go
my
run, you
wife-
little fat pig.
my wife did cross country. My wife did cross country for UNH, and she has like a bunch of records in her hometown, and she gets so mad when I make jokes like that. You know what I mean? I was like,
Quick, call her in, and then let's do it again.
yeah, she hates that, dude. I'm like, yeah, I was throwing javelin with the cool kids while you were, crawling to the finish line with snot bubbles coming out of your nose. So it's kind of two different levels of cool here. I'm chucking spears over here. You know what I mean? So
Chucking spears.
I
you
will
guys
say,
over there.
my cross country
cramps.
experience was probably very different from your wife's because I was terrible. So the coaches didn't care about me or the other terrible kids at practice. So they would run with the varsity and we would go swimming in the neighborhood pool that we would run through or playing with the horses that we got yelled at for playing with or hide it.
Random horses.
Yeah, we would jump over a fence and like we were stupid. We would hide in the woods until varsity would run by and have leaf bombs where we would just hold leaves in our hand as compactly as we could, and then just throw them at them and then hide before the coaches could see us. Like, and then at races, like just die trying to like prove that we actually had practice for the last 2 weeks.
Just imagine the coach asking how the captain of the cross country team got hurt and your star runner, and you have to explain that he got hurt because Simon threw a leaf bomb at him on a rainy day. On a rainy day, he slipped down a hill. Like, yeah, I can see it.
It was the leaf bombs that did it. Because we had a question come in here from Jonathan. Good morning, Jonathan. He said, "Good morning, guys.
Jonathan?
I need to pick up a QB. I lost Jimmy G and have to wait for Watson to knock off the rust. Pick one: Mike White, Ryan Tannehill, or Tyler Huntley. So Mike White, we mentioned going up against the Bills this weekend, so that's a tough matchup for him. Ryan Tannehill and the Titans are going up against the Jaguars this weekend, so not a particularly tough matchup. And JL, do you know who your Ravens have this upcoming weekend?
Nope.
They got the Steelers. So again, not so tough of a matchup. But we haven't heard an update on Lamar Jackson besides day-to-day as far as I'm concerned. Coop, if you got to pick up one of these guys, which one is it going to be?
I'm going to start Deshaun Watson.
Over all those guys?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, man. Jonathan, I'm jumping in face first on that one. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe Mike White. Mike White's kind of exciting, I guess.
The Bills.
The Bills, though, man. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like,
not doing
if
that.
the Browns are ever going to get into a shootout, it's probably going to be against this Bengals team, right? Now is the time for Deshaun Watson. That rush needs to come off right now, dude. So I would just put him right in there, man. Ryan Tannehill, so boring, dude. So boring.
Ryan Tannehill. You're gonna get a cool like 12 to 18 points. That's what you can expect with Ryan Tannehill. And so if you really in some cases, it makes sense to play conservatively depending on your matchup. In which case, I can understand going Ryan. Largely here is hope for that upside.
If anything,
Tannehill, he doesn't have a game this year with 3 touchdowns. It's all just 1, 2, 0. It's a great way to cruise into third place, starting Ryan Tannehill.
If we knew for sure that Huntley was going to start against the Steelers, I wouldn't mind starting him with the rushing upside that he has. We saw it whenever he came in for Lamar Jackson in the last game. That being said, I think I'm with you guys. You just play Deshaun Watson here. He's better than all of these options on the waiver wire to get into your lineups.
Yeah, Tyler Huntley, he's good, dude, but I mean, he wasn't really that good last year. You know what I mean? He had 3 touchdown passes. So it's hard to trust him. He's a great backup. That's what he is. And his contract, because he was a unrestricted free agent, I think he's making under $1 million something this year. So it was a no-brainer for them to keep him for this year, but I'm not sure.
He's also putting the soda back at the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
The gas station.
That's so funny. It's crazy to think that. I think he is making under $1 million, which means that if a team just throws a random waiver claim at Baker Mayfield, he'll get paid more by that team than Tyler Huntley. That's silly.
Absolutely absurd. Coop, I saw people just dunking over and over again yesterday on the tight end position this year in fantasy. I hadn't I knew it felt gross, but I hadn't realized how gross it was. I wish I could remember the source of the tweet, but someone pointed out Pat Freiermuth has almost the exact same score he did as this point last season, but now he's like a top 5 tight end, whereas last year he was tight end 13. We've got 2 tight ends. This one came from Mike Clay. Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, who haven't played since week 10, are both still in the top 6 in fantasy points. And then Danny Heifetz on Twitter pointed out Mark Andrews has fewer points than Kyle Pitts since week 7. And Kyle Pitts hasn't played in a couple weeks here. It does seem like a particularly bad year for the tight end position. Harder to predict, bigger drops from that top tier, and that top tier's name is Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's the tight end position. It's always going to be the same, man, because you have every team uses 2-3 wide receivers, so you're gonna have a giant pool of wide receivers. The disappointments aren't as glaring. You know what I mean? Like Allen Robinson, him being drafted where he was and doing literal 0, it doesn't make as much impact as Dallas Goedert getting hurt because you have a bigger pool to draw from, right? So it's always going to look like this. And then you're always going to get some tight end that gets elevated because every other player on the team gets hurt. You know, maybe that's Cole Kmet right now, but I mean, that's the state of the position. To me, it's not any different than other years, besides the fact that Dallas Goedert got hurt, Zach Ertz got hurt, David Njoku got hurt, Mark Andrews hurt his shoulder. Guys get hurt. Kyle Pitts got hurt. Darren Waller got hurt. Everybody, this is what happens in football. People get hurt. This year, it just so happened to be a lot of the guys that we were depending on. So that's the way it goes, dude. But guess what? You looked at my rankings this week. Pretty high in those rankings were Cole Kmet, Greg Dulcich, Evan Ingram. Those guys all delivered, baby. So we're still making it happen. People can send all the tweets they want. Linda can send all the tight end versus kicker tweets that she wants, dude. But we're still getting it done over here, baby. Tight ends are still beating them up, and they're not going anywhere. So how about that? Come at me.
I'm a big
Clay.
tight end
How about
fan.
that?
I'm not on this anti-tight end train, but I just saw the steam picking up. It seems like as soon as it starts like negatively impacting people regularly, like there's more people who are pissed about tight end this year than not. We're starting to see the tide shift on how people feel about the position.
People get salty. John Daigle being like, oh, stop trying to analyze the minutia of tight ends, blah, blah, blah. It's like that. I love John Daigle, and he gets into the minutia of wide receivers and running backs. There's no reason not to get in there with tight ends, and it's working for us. So complain all you want. You're just going to have to eat it when Evan Engram is the top 10 tight end this week.
Eat it.
Be honest. I ate it, Coop. I ate it this week. I'm going to eat it next week.
What'd you eat? Evan Engram in your tight end slot?
Yeah, I ate it. All the Evan Engram. By the way, JHI joined the chat. He said, just joined. My bad if this was covered. He said, QB week 14, Watson, Goff, or Huntley. Pick 2. Oh, I'm sorry. That was 2 questions. Yeah, so QB week 14. We'll start with that one. Watson, Goff, or Huntley. What do you think?
Who do the Lions have this upcoming week?
The Lions actually have that could be the play, man. If I have to drop Watson. But that game is supposed to be a 53.5 over under. And as crazy as it sounds, the Lions are actually. Oh, did I steal your thunder?
No, Coop. I was saying like, yeah, hype it up.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. Back on track. The Lions are actually favored at home against the Vikings. I know it's at home, but the Lions are favorites against the 10-2 Minnesota Vikings. Talk about Dan Campbell's winning culture coming to town.
It's going to dominate.
Like
Lions turn it around.
They're coming, just like Coach Prime. If you watched his press conference yesterday, he's coming. And so are the Lions.
Dude, Coach Prime, I felt like I saw just a clip. Like, I didn't watch the whole thing, so I choose to believe just the clip, even though I know it was kind of taken out of context. But, dude, he told all the current players to basically jump in the transfer portal because he's bringing his boys with him.
I watched the entire thing. And
I choose to believe the edited version.
Well, I'm going to give the real version to anybody else because Coach Prime's getting a lot of crap for no reason. First of all, of course he has an ego. He calls himself Coach Prime. We know this. And you don't think other head football coaches have egos? Like, these dudes have to have egos to run that. Like, Nick Saban's head is so big, but he's a great coach. Prime, don't hold his ego against him. What he said to them was, I'm changing everything here. This program is being run pretty crappily. It's going to change. You're not going to be wearing hats in the building. You're going to show up wearing suits. None of you are better than anybody else, and I'm bringing some of my own guys with me. Like, and so you're going to have to beat them if you want a spot on this team. And if you're not up for that challenge, there's the door. Get the hell out, is basically what he said. It wasn't like I'm replacing you. It was, here's the challenge. Step up or get out.
Yeah.
No hats, and you have to wear suits. Simon, how quick are you hitting that transfer portal, bro?
I mean, maybe my freshman, sophomore year, I would have been confident. But by the time that hairline inched back junior year, I would have been out of there. So
I'm there.
Listen, if Simon could totally have rocked the denim suit, Coach Prime would have been fine with it.
Coach Prime. Dude, this is how cocky Deion Sanders is. Before he even got drafted in the NFL, the teams do their like interview process, right? Where they like sit you down and they ask you all these questions. At the time, the Giants had like a written test that they would have you do. And they put this like booklet down on the table in front of Deion Sanders. And he took one look at that and he goes, yeah, I'm not doing that. And they were like, what? And he was like, I'm getting picked way before y'all pick. Y'all pick like 15. And he just like got up. He just like got up and walked out, dude. He was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Thank you, though. And then I think he got picked like top 5 or something. So it really didn't matter.
Dude, like, back it up. You back it up. Then, it's all doesn't matter. It's all gravy then.
If you're the coach there, it's one of two things. It's either like he's off your draft board or it's like, I gotta have that guy.
Yeah, now
like the guy who had the ball.
We're trading up.
Dude, that'd be hilarious. Yeah. He told them, he told. Here's the title of the article that I read. At the 1989 Combine, Deion Sanders told the Giants where to stick their test. I get right.
Where were they supposed to stick it?
Yeah, that story looks way worse for the Giants than
Right,
Deion
yeah.
Sanders.
He and the funny part is he didn't say you pick 15th. He goes, "Excuse me, where do you guys pick in the draft?" And when they told him, he was like,
He
"All
made
right,
him tell him.
Yeah, they're like 18th. He's like, "All right, smell you later, nerds."
Yeah, shove the quiz up your ass.
So Deion Sanders he's been prime way before he was even prime. Honestly, like that was
that.
before he even got drafted. What a beast, dude! I mean, the dude also played baseball on the same day he played football. This guy has a right to be cocky.
Did we ever answer this question? I feel like we just goofed around it. Watson, Goff, Huntley. Did we ever answer?
Oh yeah, we should
answer JJ.
Yes. So I actually
Goff against the Vikings.
Yeah, I said Watson initially, but in this particular matchup, it's primed. Speaking of prime, it's primed for a shootout. But you just got to hope the Lions aren't this week's Jaguars, because the Lions Jaguars supposed to be a shootout. The Jaguars didn't hold their end of the bargain. This is a case where there's a possibility the Lions don't hold up their end of the bargain.
Yeah. And I'm with you guys. I'm going to go Goff here. And then the follow-up question from JHI is James Cook, Akers, or Zonovan Knight?
James Cook, Akers.
And we got to start 2, right?
Yeah, Jets have Buffalo.
It's full PPR. If it's not full PPR, then you can just rule out James Cook right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I don't think James Cook, honestly, I was at that game, and I think it was a more product of the way the Patriots were playing them on defense. They were making sure they didn't get beat deep, the Patriots were, and they just kept leaving him underneath for these little dump downs every single time. I don't think that's something that you can just count on every single week. Also, Devin Singletary got banged up and left the game. Then when he came back in the game, James Cook didn't play nearly as much. So it is hopeful for him in like dynasty and stuff. I don't know if I trust him in redraft.
It is full PPR, by the way.
What are the other options are?
Cam Akers and Zonovan Knight. And I think that's where I'm going, is with those two guys.
Pick 2.
Sucks to plug Cam Akers in, but I think I'll roll Cam Akers and Zonovan Knight here. Yeah, but I just don't trust it. It sucks in the sense that I feel like I'm chasing points, and I've got zero trust in that Rams team or in Cam Akers in particular.
You are chasing points.
Because
what happened there? What happened there though? Like, why did Kyron Williams played like 70% of the snaps the week before, and then this week he was just kind of phased out? Like, what's going on there? Did he get banged up, or?
I don't know. Not that I saw. I didn't see any news about him getting banged up. It seemed like they just made a shift to Cam Akers last week. But I have no confidence or thunder behind them staying with Cam Akers, right? I could very easily see them just switch on back to Kyron Williams this coming week.
If their season is over, why not, just get Cam Akers out there, show him off, and then is his contract up at the end of the year? Do we know that?
I'm not entirely certain what contract.
We'll know within 30 seconds.
Well, as you figure that out, if his contract is not up, then that's just going to give them some ammunition here to trade.
It's not up. He was drafted in 2020, so he has one more year on his rookie deal.
So maybe McVay's looking at the situation going, this season's pretty much done. Cam Akers is all upset about not getting used in the right way that he wanted to be used. So why not just, all right, let's lean into that. Feed Cam Akers, make him, see if we can up that trade value, because that's why they didn't trade him, right? They didn't get enough value from other teams.
You have to be very difficult. That's a great point, JL, that you're bringing up here, because you have to be very difficult with these teams that are out of contention at this time of year. We saw it specifically with the 2019 Dolphins, where once they got to the point where they were like out, they just started doing live tryouts where they would be like, okay, Mac Hollins, you're going to play the whole game. And then the very next game, they'd be like, okay, it's going to be Preston Williams the whole game. And then the next game would be Isaiah Ford. And then one game they played Isaiah Ford the whole game, and then they literally cut him the very next week. Like, these teams start saying, okay, we're out of the playoffs. Let's figure out who's going to be on this team next year. And then so it becomes really scary for fantasy football. Like the Texans now, with like Brandon Cooks being out, you could start to see them going through the bottom parts of that depth chart and being like, okay, Nico Collins is going to be here this next year. Let's see what Philip Dorsett has. Let's see what Chris Moore has. Let's see what some of these other guys have, and if they're going to be with us next year or not. And that can get a little bit scary for fantasy because it's super unpredictable. So be real careful with that business.
100%. Did you guys see the line for the Texans-Cowboys game? Speaking of the Texans, it was one of two lines that stood out to me. One of them being the Lions favored by 1.5. The Cowboys are favored by. How many do you think the Cowboys are favored by in this one?
Got to be 2 touchdowns, right? Is it 15?
JL, you got a guess?
I'll go with 13.
17. 17 points the Cowboys are favored by in this one.
What, dude? You can't bet that. If it was 17 and a half, if it was 16 and a half, maybe. But you can't. Dude, you're expecting, like, that's crazy. If they're up 14 and they kick a field goal, then that's a push. But it's, oh man, yeah, you can't be betting 17. That's too much.
Right? That seems absurd. It seems absolutely absurd. I can't touch it, but do you have confidence to put money on the Houston side?
No.
Houston plus 17 against the Cowboys, right?
Not. Like, I'm staying away from that.
I mean, the Cowboys just won this week by like 30.
Right? And the Texans did not look good. They did not look good at all against the Browns last week.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to bet on is
Browns by multiple touchdowns, and the Browns didn't score a single offensive touchdown.
Yeah.
Not one.
Davis Mills looks awful. Or sorry, it wasn't Davis Mills.
Kyle Allen.
Kyle Allen looked terrible.
Cowboys defense probably over under 7.5 sacks. Is that like, it's probably the line for the sacks is probably ridiculous. Davis Mills versus Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and Dorrance Armstrong. That's going to be a nightmare for the Texans.
Absolute nightmare. Man, that's the highest line I've seen so far this season, though. 17 points. I don't think I've seen a higher one. And I don't think we will see a higher one. I'm calling it now. That's probably going to be the highest line we see this year. Guys, coming up, we're going to break down this Monday night football game between the Saints and the Buccaneers that happened last night. We've got some Factor Flash coming up as well. And then we will be drafting our favorite video game franchises. So JL Coop and I going head-to-head in a video game franchise draft. We've got the Waiver Wire Simulator. And as always, if you've got fantasy questions, throw them in the chat. We are more than happy to answer any and all of these. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The only person, I've said this to you before, who I believe back then, of all those power hitters who truly was clean, Ken Griffey Jr.
I mean, I think so when he got hurt. We'll never know that for sure either.
Nah, dude.
We've seen guys who were not big take substances.
That's true.
To get busted. So it's not about that always.
I hear you. It's just, don't you think with the way his career kind of went, you would think that he didn't take anything?
I don't think he did, but we'll never know 100%.
I'm going to keep telling myself that he didn't. The one year player, I mean, he's my favorite baseball player of all time. In the 1990s, Ron, as a kid, as a 5-year-old kid who plays video games and collected cards, there was no one cooler than Ken Griffey Jr. I still wear my hat backwards because Ken Griffey Jr. did it and he looked really cool doing that, wearing a backwards baseball cap. Like, he made everything the guy did looked cool. Even the home run in the movie Little Big League, it's acting, it's all, I guess, fake, but even he made that look cool. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr., you're a little bit older than me, but in the 90s, besides Michael Jordan, was there a more loved athlete than Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yeah, no, I love Griffey. He's one of my favorite players ever, from defensively to hitting his swing. And yeah, I would have loved to see what he could have done if he had stayed healthy, the final numbers he'd finish with. So no, I was a huge fan of Ken Griffey, and it's a shame though that all those injuries towards the end of his career just really limited the production he put up, but he still put up elite numbers. He was so fun to watch. So I'm a huge Ken Griffey guy.
And here's the other thing too. So 1994, the season got shortened because of the strike.
And he finished with 40 homers in 111 games that year, man. And then he had 56 2 years in a row, 97 and 98, and then 48. He had a stretch 4 years in a row, 49, 56, 56, 48, 40. I mean, unbelievable. And then, yeah, once he hit like 31, he started to miss games, 111, 70, 53, 83. So think about that, all those years that he lost, and he still hit 630 home runs, man. Yeah. So if he was clean, he would have been the all-time home run champion. Again, we're all guessing here, but you would think, all right, well, once he got into age 31, 32, that's when the body started breaking out, which is typical, right, for someone who's not using anything, whereas we saw Barry Bonds just get better with age, and we did not see that with Griffey. So look, 2001, where you're starting when he played on. Look at the home runs decline. 8, 13, 20, 35, 27, 30, 18, 15 to his age 38 season. Even age 39 in 117 games, he had 19 home runs. So he probably would have definitely been the all-time home run leader had he been able to stay healthy.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We got Dustin in the chat saying, good morning. What's up, Dustin? Good morning and welcome in. Glad to have you over here. We have some questions that I wanted to make sure we answered over here. Yasir in here had a question for us. Said, y'all rolling with Hayden Hurst or David Njoku for the playoffs if both are healthy? Coop, would you rather have Hayden Hurst or David Njoku if both are healthy?
David Njoku, 100%. Njoku has been super consistent in the offense that's been designed for Deshaun Watson. I don't think Deshaun Watson becoming the quarterback significantly changes the play calling or what they want to do. So Njoku is going to be pretty safe to me. Hayden Hurst with Jamar Chase back is what, the fourth best pass catcher on this team at best? He might be the fifth if you count Joe Mixon or Samaje Perine. So he's just such a low upside proposition. I'm not interested in Hayden Hurst. So give me Njoku for sure.
It's Njoku for me as well. Joe, what about you? Oh.
Damn it. Fully agree with you guys on that.
We never got those clown noses. We've really got to get those.
Yeah, we do.
Hogs. Hog noses.
Hogs.
We're going to get some. And then you have to oink the entire time. And we're going to get you a race bib for the little pig that you are. Hog nose and race bib. Put it on. Put it on. Illmind Jedi in here said, hi, guys. Mike Evans and Kamara underperformed yesterday, and I lost by 4 points. That game takes me out of the playoffs. The whole week is ruined. Ruined!
No. Use your Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah, Illmind Jedi. Just change the score a little bit. You will think that my number is higher than your number, but you have to do it to all 11 other people in your league.
It'll take a while.
It is going to take a while. We had another question in here. This one from JHI, though it's a kicker question. He said, who you start in week 14, Badgley or Greg Joseph? Any opinion on these kickers?
Badgley or Joseph? Let me take a little peek-see here. Usually I default to Linda's rankings when it comes to kicker. She does a lot of work on them, and I trust her. But who'd you go with? Joseph?
I went with Badgley.
Badgley. I kind of like that's also a shootout game, but I don't know, man. Joseph's a good one too against the Lions. Can't go wrong with those two options, to be honest. Simon, break this tie
overdog in that matchup.
I have Joseph.
No, I will not break this tie because I don't have a strong opinion, and I'm not going to tie my name to one of these kickers over the other. They're both in decent matchups that could have a lot of kicking, so I don't do a lot of kicker analysis, but Coop brought up a great point. Our friend Lindellians on Twitter, Lindellions, Lindellians puts out in-depth kicker rankings every single week. She dives in on different factors that make kickers good for fantasy football. And, it's been providing an advantage to people that are using it in normal leagues and in Scott Fishbowl, where kickers are maybe a little bit more valuable over there. So check out her rankings for some kicker questions right there. We had a game last night, and Tommy in here hitting us with a question about it right away. The Buccaneers did beat the Saints 17-16, though it didn't look like they were going to until about 3 minutes left in that game, right? And then Tom Brady willed that team to victory. Tom Brady said, no, I am not losing this game. Like, it truly just feel like he decided, nope. Like, he pulled a Zach Wilson. They asked him, are you going to lose this game? He said, nope. Sorry about that.
There were two people in that building that knew Tom Brady was going to win the game. Tom Brady, and then for anyone that watched the broadcast, Andy Dalton. Like, it seemed, they kept showing Andy Dalton's face. Like, even when there was like 30 seconds left, and he was just like, just covering his face. He's just sitting there like, oh,
shoot.
He's going to do it again, isn't he? Like, they just kept going over to him, and he was just like, he knew it was happening. Like, and then it did happen. So, but man, Rachaad White, dude. Tom Brady Counting on Rachaad White in the red zone to win the game reminds me of another White that Tom Brady threw a number of passes to, including a similar, very similar touchdown to win the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons, Mr. James White. Is Rachaad White the new James White?
Well, they do
Could
have
be.
the same last name and play the same position and are catching passes from Tom Brady. So there's 3 checks in favor of your proposition there, Coop.
I mean,
feel like
James
White,
White.
Rachaad White's rushing is much different than James White. Like,
It's not nearly
I'd be
as good.
surprised.
Not nearly
Yeah.
as good.
As James, yeah.
Well, the thing about James White, man, is that like he gets a lot of respect around the league. They asked Amir Abdullah, for instance, if he was going to be the James White in the Raiders offense. And Amir Abdullah was like, look, he goes, all I can do is be me. Because I'll tell you right now, though, James White is a gold plate name around this league. That guy,
As he should be.
Yeah. I mean, he has the record for the most receptions of any player in a single Super Bowl game, right? James White's a star. But I think you're right.
Absolutely.
Rachaad White might offer a little more. As a Patriots fan, I'm just pumping the tires on James White. Rachaad White probably offers a little more in the running game. He's probably a little more well-rounded. But, for the time being, while Leonard Fournette's there, he can at least be James White, right? Like, that might be the floor right now.
Yeah.
I loved the little background bio they did on Rachaad White during the game yesterday. Like, I was unaware of his trajectory into the NFL, but dude was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. Played at a couple different lower level schools before ending up in Arizona State and then coming into the NFL draft. But that's got to feel pretty good, right? To go from 0-star recruit, there's not a single D1 school interested in you, up to the starting running back on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady in a just a couple year span. That's pretty awesome.
It's a testament to his hard work because you can't
100%.
do that by accident. There's no way you can do that by accident.
0-star sounds a little too mean, to be honest.
It's like, how do you get 0? How are
They
you gonna
gotta
go
find
all the way
out.
to 0? Why can't you start at 1? You
They
gotta go to 0.
they got to find a different scale. 0 stars.
You get multiplied by anybody, and they're also a 0. Come on.
Good Lord, man. That's rude.
Yeah, that feels like
So
they're saying just no hope. Tommy said, what is the Kamara with Alvin? Is he done? Alvin Kamara, another bad game yesterday. 12 carries for 26 yards, and then wasn't involved in the receiving game at all. 3 targets, 2 receptions, 11 yards. Pretty gross. JL, what's wrong with Alvin Kamara? Are we going to see vintage Kamara back this season, or is this just what we're going to get?
It's a good question. I think this is what we're going to get. I think this is what we see most of the season. He's just has less upside because this offense is really funneling through Olave and the passing game. I think they're just leaning on that. So I think Alvin Kamara is probably RB2 rest of the season. What do you guys think?
We talked about this yesterday where we were like, put some respect on the offensive lineman's name. And, we said, oh, look at what the Dolphins look like without Teron Armstead, right? It is tough. Well, the Saints were the team that they took Teron Armstead from in the first place. Look at what the Saints look like without Teron Armstead. That's why you can't let these guys leave in free agency. That's why it's so important to have a premier left tackle, right? So I'm not surprised that if you lose one of the best offensive linemen in the league, your run game is not going to be as good. It makes all the sense in the world, right? So that's what I think is going on with this team. They had one of the best offensive lines in the league, and now they just have one of the okayest offensive lines in the league. They still have Ryan Ramczyk and these guys. I'm not saying the line's bad, but when you lose a premier player like that, you're going to lose the premier production. And I see JB in the chat. Shout out JB Barry. He's one of my co-hosts on the Fantasy Besties, trying to get me to accept a trade offer live on the air, which involves Alvin Kamara. So the original offer that he sent me that I almost accepted before he took down, he sent me Christian Watson for my Amari Cooper straight up. Which tempting offer, to say the least.
Interesting. That is an interesting offer.
Right.
Christian Watson, I'm so nervous about in Dynasty because of Aaron Rodgers. I think his value, more than a lot of these other rookie receivers, is tied to his quarterback so intrinsically.
To put it in context, my team, I've gone all in. I don't have any picks forever. I have CMC, Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette, Zeke. I have all the older running backs. I'm trying to win right now. You know what I mean? So typically I would be on the side that trades for Alvin Kamara. And it would be cool to look at my lineup and see CMC, Barkley, Kamara. I mean, like, come on. That's pretty sick. But I don't necessarily need Kamara. And he wants Amari Cooper. So the new trade is Kamara and Watson for Amari Cooper and Christian Kirk. He also wants my second round pick. I get a fourth back. So I don't know. I'd definitely be mortgaging the future to a certain degree. I don't think I'm going to do that, JB. Kind of like my team.
I'm with you.
The way it is. Yeah.
Albert in here saying, did that Taysom Hill touchdown irk you, Simon? No. I'm in a new stage of the process with how I feel about Taysom Hill. It's just what he does. It's okay. It's okay if Taysom Hill comes out there and has one catch for 30 yards and a touchdown. I think he even had a second catch yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, to make it a little less embarrassing. Yeah, he had an additional 5-yard catch out there. So at least he caught the ball 2 times and they weren't both touchdowns. It does make the week less fun whenever Taysom Hill is in like the top 5 tight ends, though, because it just feels like a punch in the stomach because I'm never going to predict it. I'm never going to put him there, but I know he's going to be there a couple times a year.
Well,
Yeah, I've been stage. And Simon.
Thank you.
For
It
me-
took a lot of work.
Yesterday, I tweeted this out. I said, I rarely recommend him, but the best tight end option in tonight's game is Taysom Hill. Jahan Dotson was out. Adam Trotman blocks on too many pass plays, runs low A-dot routes. Cameron Brate and K-Dot and split the work. And even though Cameron Brate was out, they were going against the number 1 defense versus the tight end. So Taysom Hill, I was on board. And I'll tell you guys, it's a slippery slope rooting for Taysom Hill because once you root for him, he does something and you're like, all right, I was right. And then now I'm like, okay, this is kind of exciting. Now I get it. I see what the other side sees. It's like this guy, he could come out
with the other side.
he could come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't even on the screen when he caught that touchdown pass, right? Like when like he wasn't even part of the play. It was way off to the top. And I was like, Taysom Hill, dude. Yeah, let's go. Right. Like I didn't even, that's just how it works with that guy. So I don't know. It is a slippery slope. That guy, to me, he will always be the guy where when you run out of reasonable PPR options, you just throw this wild dart on this one guy, and then everybody else is in one tier below him. That's how I'll always rank him. But
Who the hell is, and I'm sorry if this is offensive, I'm glad you're finding success in the NFL, at least caught a couple passes, but I feel like I'd never heard the name Keeft in my life until last week. And then like he catches a touchdown. He caught a couple passes yesterday. It seems like he's like Tom Brady's new buddy or something. Another tight end.
yeah, so what he is right now is the equivalent of like Martellus Bennett for the Patriots, where like he's a primary blocking tight end, but they sit there and Tom Brady looks at the defense and he knows when the defense is not respecting the blocking tight end and you can just sneak it to him. So that's kind of what's going on, dude. Like
That's
a
what
lot
we're
of these
doing
guys,
with Mr. Keeft.
yeah, he's nothing to, because he only runs like 5 routes a game, but it's basically like Brady knows when they're not respecting the fact that he's an eligible wide receiver. That's the upside for him. It's like Max Williams, right? Teams just like they don't even take him into the formula, right? Jeff Swaim is where I'd put Keeft. So you don't have to worry about him for fantasy.
Maybe the reason he seems more involved is that whenever he does run a route, there's a higher chance that the ball's going his way because it's something Tom Brady identified.
Yeah, I bet you this guy has 0 contested catches in his career. It's definitely something where Tom Brady looks and he's like, they're not accounting for this one guy who's eligible. It's like when the team runs an eligible tackle play and the guy is just completely uncovered. Like that's kind of how he's doing it. That's the Keeft formula. So don't worry about Keeft.
Keeft formula.
That's Keeft form. Don't worry about him.
Pretty sure I learned that in high school, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's like right after Pythagorean theorem, but before you get into,
Name another one.
trigonometry.
Yeah, because those two things are different. Those two things are distinct things.
Not a big math guy. I named one. You named some. There's got to be some other stuff.
Geography.
The theory
Nailed
of
it.
Geology.
The theory of geologilogy. You know what I'm saying?
Geology.
You know what I'm saying?
That sounds inappropriate. It sounds like we shouldn't talk about geologilogy. Like I'm not positive, but
my favorite 3 classes: geology, gym, and lunch.
Geology.
Jim Lunchology.
Straight A's.
If that-
Geology.
Name a class you took in high school. Geology. Did you even go to geology class?
Yeah, you freaking idiot.
If you
Shout out
had,
to
you
the
would have
Saints
started Coach Keefe.
Yeah, you would have. You would have had the foresight, the cojones. I can't believe the Saints. They held their own in this game. The fact that they were this close, like I expected Tampa Bay to easily win this game. So good on them.
That's what happens when you have a really good defense and like a portion of an offense.
Yeah, a little bit of an offense.
Right.
I mean, like, I get what you're saying, JL, in premise, but the Buccaneers going into this game were 5-6, and the Saints were what, 4-6? Like it wasn't like they were beating some world-beating Buccaneers team. They were competing.
I think they're better than their record, though. I do think the Bucs are better than their record makes it seem.
I mean, if Tom Brady plays like he did in the last 3 minutes or on that first drive, know what I mean? Like that first drive of the game made me think, okay, this Buccaneers offense figured something out. They're clicking a little bit. I know they only came away with a field goal on that first drive, but they were moving. It was a methodical, long drive put together at the beginning of that game. And it seemed like, okay, they're going to get rolling. And then they just stopped doing that until the last 3 minutes of the game. Just stopped driving down the field, stopped making it work.
Right.
Bad pick by Tom Brady in there. Didn't help things out, but it was an uncharacteristically bad pick by Tom Brady.
But you know what that speaks to? Like, that's why the Saints are the number one team versus the tight end, because they got Demario Davis underneath, and then they have Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May over the top, over the middle of the field, and they're running those plays. Like, he tricked Tom Brady. He pretended he was running with Kate Otten, and then they like faked man-to-man, and it turned out it was zone. So he just dropped right into that lane. Like, and Brady knew it right away, dude. He's like, I got. You saw him, dude. He's like, I got
head in his hands, crouched to the ground. He was.
Yeah, he knew he fell for the trick. You know, he probably had seen that on tape too, and he was like, there it is. But yeah, but props to those guys. That's why, when they are all over Kate Otten all game, that's how you sneak out. You got to sneak out Coach Keefe to combat that. But Saints are no fly zone for tight ends. I'm staying away.
Just entirely. I mean, unless it's like Travis Kelce, right?
Dude,
are you playing Travis Kelce against them?
The reason I haven't been doing impressions on this show when we do the prop bets is every week I look at who's playing the Saints, and then I bet the under for that tight end's yardage. Did it with
for the Sunday Night Football prop bets.
Not to give away my secret formula, but like last week, Kittle under 45 yards, smash. Like I've been doing it like 3 weeks in a row. That's so.
You guys finding a little Coop taking the under on tight ends in jail, taking the under on Broncos games totals. Just take the under on the total. You're going to be right almost every single time.
Yeah. Freaking 3 out of 14 times, 3 out of 13.
It's geology. It's geology. I already forgot what the word was. Geology. I mean, it's science, my boys.
It's science, my boys.
Chris Godwin looked like Tom Brady's best friend yesterday in that game.
13 targets.
13. 8 receptions, 63 yards. He's starting to look like Chris Godwin, the Chris Godwin that we know he can be, right? One of the top receivers in the NFL. It's exciting. Not as exciting if you're a Mike Evans manager or Mike Evans fan, but it's good to see Chris Godwin back. Is he the one in this offense, or is this just a bad game for Mike Evans?
I think he's the one. I think he's the one when both are healthy.
I mean, they play two different positions. Mike Evans plays split end. Chris Godwin plays flanker. And then when they bring in a third wide receiver, he moves to the slot. It's my opinion is that both guys are great, but what Godwin does, it's easier to get open. Evans has the harder assignment, but for fantasy purposes, all we care about is who's getting more targets, producing more. That's going to be Chris Godwin, right?
Tom Brady threw 54 times in this game.
Dude, and he was still throwing laser beams at the end of the game, too. He threw one pass to Mike Evans, a zillion miles an hour that Evans pulled down. That was like, oof, this guy still got it. Dude. He still got it.
Still got some zip. Illmind Jedi in here saying, I'm a Falcons fan, so I love the sweet tears of New Orleans Saints fans. But do you think Dennis Allen played a big part in the Saints' loss? Because I saw the tweets from Saints Twitter yesterday. They're calling for that man to be fired. Coop, what do you think?
He's done, dude. He's done, man. And you see his post-game comments, like he tried to deflect and be like, that's what happens when you play Tom Brady, and people did not like that either. You know what I mean? Have some, have some culpability, right? So I think Dennis Allen's probably on his way out.
Yeah, that there was a late run there by Mark Ingram that just sealed their fate, right? He ran out of bounds, and a lot of people, will shit on him for that. But it's the whole game, right? They should have gotten ahead, I guess, by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, well, that was a cowardly move by Mark Ingram, though, I will say.
Yeah, and then who was it? Dennis Allen came out after the game and said that he was injured, and so he was like, running out of bounds because he was hurt. I wonder how much of that is just like him taking the fall as the coach versus
I do like that move. I like that move as a coach. You're still getting fired though.
Yeah, sorry, you're out.
Sorry.
Yeah, that only does so much for you. Did you guys see the clip of Mike McDaniel on the sideline? This was just something the coach said that made me like him. The Dennis Allen comment reminded me of it. It was on him, and I didn't see the first part, but he pointed at himself and he said, "I effed up. That's on me. I effed up." In the middle of a game, he's sitting there telling players like, no, that was on me. Let's get back out there and kill it, though.
Well, that's your job as a coach
who takes responsibility
to keep that confidence meter up for everybody else, right? Like you go and tell somebody they screwed up. I've seen it. Like you suck the life out of that player. Whereas if you come around and say, "Hey, you know what? You're still at 100. You're at 100 P. I was the one that messed up." So, and it basically says like, okay, you know what? Things would have gone right if I did everything right. It keeps your confidence up. That's what you really got to do, man. You got to manage these people, be a leader of men, not sit back and make excuses.
Yeah, absolutely.
With you, Coop. I'm with you. You got to man up to it. Albert said, I won one of my... Oh, and it's gone. Shoot.
Get that YouTube.
There we go. I won one of my matchups on that last second Rashad White touchdown catch. Nice. That
awesome.
Always feels good.
That's fun.
Always feels good.
Can you imagine if you needed Tom Brady to have a good game and you were sitting there watching the whole freaking time, just like, no. And then in the last 3 minutes, he throws 2 touchdowns. Both of them were touchdown passes, right? Yeah. One to K-Dot and one to Rashad White right there. And you win the game. There were some more like Albert out there yesterday, I'm sure. You love a good last minute win.
Yeah. Maria said, I saw that and love that. That's a good coach, referring to the Mike McDaniel quote.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I got to ask you guys one more player from this game I wanted to talk about. He's looked explosive, had a lot of explosive plays coming into this game, but seemed to get featured a little bit more. Mr. Rashid Shaheed, amazing name. So it gets some points right away on that. Are you guys buying the Rashid Shaheed business here, or you think it's he's still just a kind of a flash in the pan, boom bust type guy?
I think he's still
61% of the snaps. Just to give you an idea.
I think he is he's benefiting from opportunity here, right? Like 4 targets, 4 receptions, 75 yards. He looked good. I don't expect this to continue, long term. I think that he's going to be that sort of flash type player. And I think they'll bring somebody else in eventually. This wide receiving core is akin to the Bears. Like I feel like they're kind of in a similar spot where they got like one kind of good guy and that's it.
You're right. They should have Michael Thomas, right?
Should have Michael Thomas. Rashid Shaheed is the perfect bye-week fill-in player, but unfortunately, there's one bye-week left, and the Saints are on it. So, like, his fantasy relevancy is pretty much 0 for me, unless you're desperate or in a very deep league. Like, if you're in a 14-team, 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league, you're probably thrilled to throw Rashid Shaheed in there for the upside that he could have in this offense, but if I'm starting a Saints wide receiver, it's Chris Olave. That's why I want my lineup and not much else.
Yeah, I think that's right, unfortunately. And I think JL said it best, like this team needs a retool. At the end of the day, he'll probably end up being a valuable special teams player, right? A guy that returns punts and kicks and is explosive, but probably not a every down wide receiver. So I'm with you, JL.
Did you guys see Mark Ingram get tackled by the Peach?
Yeah. Oh, you tweeted it out. That's right. I didn't see it during the game until you were tweeting. Did you make that video? That's a great video.
I think he's got it for us. I did make that video.
Oh
no.
Dude, that reminds me.
Oh.
That reminds me
brutal.
That was a full hog grab. That was just like it reminded me of SpongeBob. Firmly grasp it. Like it was like just right on the shaft of that jellyfish net. Oh my God.
He got a handful.
I was like, PJ Walker isn't in this game. What the hell are you talking about? Like, I had no idea. And then that clip came up and I was looking for a Panthers jersey. I was like, was he there visiting? And then I saw what
Levante David.
You meant
tackles Mark Ingram by the Peach. By
That was the
firmly grasp it.
that was practically a happy ending there. That was a rough one.
TPHJ.
It reminded me of my favorite Charles Barkley quote. He was doing a game with Ernie Johnson, and there was a foul. It was just like that, where the guy, it was basketball, of course. The guy hits the other dude right in the nuts, dude, right in the dong, right. And Ernie Johnson goes, oh, got caught with his hand in the cookie jar there. And Charles Barkley goes, Ernie. Charles Barkley goes, Ernie, I don't know where you be getting your cookies at, but the rest of us ain't getting them from I was dying, bro.
That man was active listening. That man was sitting there active listening. Like, what the hell does that mean?
I don't know where you be getting your cookies at. Like, dude, such a
This ain't caught in the cookie jar.
I don't know where you be getting your cookies at. That's incredible.
That's a classic, dude. That's a classic.
That is a classic.
Yeah.
There was one time in wrestling where someone pulled a peach grab on me in the middle of the match, and I didn't like that. So I did something very against the rules and just started choking the kid on the mat until the ref had to pull me off. But my coach starts coming out on the mat like he's about to lay into me for doing some dirty, like Bush League stuff out there. And I just scream in front of both teams out there, he grabbed my nuts. And then my coach just put his hand up and said, all good. Don't do it again. Like it was instantly forgiven. My actions were
all
understood.
The parents there were like, like little siblings of the high school athletes are like, what?
That's the funny thing about like dude code though. It's like people are upset that you choked the kid, and then everyone's like, don't worry, everyone. He grabbed his nuts, and every dad in the place was like, oh, okay.
Even his dad was like, oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like,
he deserved it. My son deserved it.
You should have choked my son harder. Surprise. Yeah. But JL, you tweeted that out. You had a powerful social media day yesterday, I feel, because you also you were telling me of the Patrick Ricard fullback tweet of the Cavs.
Oh,
Tell us about that.
Yes. So I found out yesterday evening Patrick Ricard, fullback for the Baltimore Ravens, was at my grocery store, the one I frequent, only a few steps away from my house. And so I was like, oh man, I gotta go over there. We'll compare Cavs. This will make great content. But I found out too late. So I don't think he was still there. But turns out one of our friends in the industry, Jeff Green, I believe his last name is, the Fantasy Eng. He is friends with Patrick Ricard. So he sends him my tweet, and Patrick Ricard responds, that's hilarious. Mine for sure bigger. So now, and if you don't know, my Cavs are laughably huge. It's comically massive. And so now I won't stop until Patrick Ricard and I have a calf off.
I mean, dude, I bet he's rattled a little bit. I imagine he's rattled. He's like, mine def bigger though, for reals. Like
mine's that big. Yeah.
He's like shaking it off, but then I guarantee he looked down and took a quick peek. He's like, we're bigger, right, boys?
Yeah. Joe, I legitimately question which way it would go, because like you have comically large calves, like they're so muscular, but I feel like that's the default for NFL players. Know what I mean? Like NFL players, even the ones that look like a normal size out there, are generally massive human beings, like on another level. So like yours next to a normal person, it's like, holy shit, look at those calves. But I have no idea, no frame of reference for an NFL player, a fullback's calves. I've got no idea.
Not even any NFL player.
Patrick Ricard is not. He's not you talk about a normal person, dude. He's an NFL fullback, dude. He's listed at 6'3", over 300 pounds, bro. I'm gonna have to side with Patrick Ricard on this one, but I do want to see the calf. I do want to see the calf.
We'll have to settle it. If
There's
he's
only
hanging
one
out
more.
at my grocery store giving out autographs, then we can totally make it happen.
You should start tweeting out. Just be like, and next time you're at the grocery store, take a picture and then tag him and be like, "Yo, I'm here, dog. Where are you?"
Yeah, I should just go today and just take pictures of me standing in the aisle.
Go to the ham. Go to the ham section. Go to the ham section and put your leg up.
2
Be
hands
like,
on each shoulder.
Be like, yeah,
Just
be like, we're all
quote tweet
here.
Just quote tweet his tweet and say Safeway, 4 p.m. Deli.
I'll see you there by the tomato soup.
Meet me at the hams.
So
And
funny.
I'm not talking about my Cavs. We had a question from Jacob in here. Jacob said, who would you rather keep on your roster rest of season in PPR, Antonio Gibson or A.J. Dillon? Gibson or Dillon?
A.J. Dillon, just because you're going to get at least a week or two based on what we're hearing of A.J. Dillon being the pure starting running back, which you're not going to get from Antonio Gibson unless Brian Robinson gets hurt. So, I don't know, man.
Now,
Gibson's been good.
Antonio Gibson, he's been all right. He's got a bye this week, so that's a plus for A.J. Dillon here. He's got the Giants, San Francisco, and then Cleveland, weeks 15, 16, and 17. San Francisco matchup sucks. I'm not playing Antonio Gibson against San Francisco. Giants and Cleveland aren't too bad, though. I think I'd still rather have A.J. Dillon.
Say Cleveland, I would say, is downright good. That's a great matchup for running
It's a great
backs.
matchup, yeah.
Giants is fine. I'm with you guys, though. Antonio Gibson, I think, has more standalone value. And Jacob pointing out A.J. Dillon on bye this week as well.
Okay.
So not a plus for either
I
one
didn't
of
look
those
at A.J.
guys.
Dillon.
Yeah, I forgot the Packers had a bye this week too.
There's a
But
bunch of teams on bye. Maybe we
Six
should run through them.
teams. 6 teams on bye. I've actually got them pulled
Atlanta?
up right here. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, Indianapolis, New Orleans, and Washington. So 6 teams. This is Bipocalypse 2, right? Part 2 of Bipocalypse.
Electric
Perfect
Boogaloo.
timing.
Electric Boogaloo.
Perfect
Electric
timing.
Bigaloo. Electric Bigaloo.
Electric Bigaloo, dude. Perfect
I like
timing.
that.
Apocalypse Part 2, Electric Bigaloo.
That's so stupid.
That's the dumbest thing. But it's here. And
I
it's
love
weird.
it.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, if you're talking Aaron Jones enthusiasts, it didn't seem like an ideal time for a bye week, but it kind of turned out to be, right? If your guy's going to get hurt right before the bye is the time to do it.
100%. Guys, coming up, we are going to run through some Factor Flash, some players that had big games this week. We're going to talk about whether or not we think it is the real deal or just a flash in the pan. We've got our video game franchise draft, where we're drafting our favorite video game franchises, and then the waiver wire simulator. As always, if you've got questions for us, throw them in the chat. We are more than happy to answer any and all fantasy questions you chuck our way. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo, he's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry. Okay, talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach, makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Aronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball's starting, I'm going to bring up personal.
Oh, dude, it's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo, who used to get teed up in the 2000s, in the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, they used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd, instead of looking at like Eton Thomas like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know
again,
it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that, you want to know why? They're paranoid. They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not going to start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with us.
It's one thing, okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory, like about their family or something,
right.
Yeah, that can incite you. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play, what? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But, like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful? You know,
it's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins the playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to my team.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
Welcome back in, everyone, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to get into a segment we call Fact or Flash. There were players that showed up this week. We're here to help you guys determine if this is something you can trust and believe in, or if this was a flash in the pan, not something to rely on for fantasy football. We got Tommy in the chat, excited for this segment, said, look at these melons, baby. I have no idea what that was in reference to. Any idea?
That was back when we were talking about the ham section at the grocery store. So that was an older comment.
I thought maybe it was a really Charles Barkley. I thought maybe it was another Charles Barkley quote. Like he was just naming another Barkley quote.
Honestly, it's an appropriate thing to say pretty much in any context.
I love Charles Barkley quotes, dude. We could do it. We could go all day with stupid things and amazing things that Charles Barkley has said.
I will say, living anywhere else, the public perception of Charles Barkley, very positive in most places in the world. In San Antonio, they do not like that man. They are very anti-Charles Barkley here in San Antonio, and that's because Charles Barkley is anti-San Antonio, specifically San Antonio women. He is very rude about the women here in San Antonio. He does not have nice things to say about them. So the city of San Antonio as a whole has taken a stance on Charles Barkley that man's not welcome in that city.
Have you ever heard that beef, JL?
No, I have not.
He's nasty about
it. For all. I don't want to boil it down to one thing, but he basically just says that all the chicks in San Antonio are fat.
And he says it over and over again. He brings it up in any context. They'll be like, yeah, well, no wonder the Spurs played well tonight. They're pissed about the women. Like he just keeps saying stuff like that for years and years and years.
Where does this stem from? This is just like a personal opinion. No other thing.
He probably had like one bad night out in San Antonio and just decided he was going to bury them on national TV for a decade. Like,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's nonstop, dude.
So they
just don't like him. They just hate him. That's
I was like, what's the deal with like, why don't people like Charles Barkley here? And then I learned. They taught me real quick. Spooky season. Before we get into Fact or Flash, had a question for us here. He wanted to know, is Tony or J.K. Dobbins worth the waiver wire pickup? So, John Luke, do you think Kadarius Toney or J.K. Dobbins is worth picking up on the waiver wire?
I'm not picking up Toney. He was already not a crazy big factor in this offense. There was hope that he might get worked in, but there's not enough time for him to be really relevant. Dobbins is probably worth a pickup. I don't know if he's going to be back in time for the fantasy playoffs. Is the only thing. That's the latest I've heard. I'm trying to look up to see if there's been any news in the last day or two. He's not going to be activated in advance. Let's see, 4 days ago. Was that this past Sunday? So he's still not coming back necessarily right now. So he's probably worth the pickup if you have that spot. But
I'm with JL.
Not required.
With JL 100%. Running backs in general, and especially explosive running backs like J.K. Dobbins, are bigger difference makers than wide receivers. The nature of the position at wide receiver, where every team basically has 3 starters, it's like 98 wide receivers, available there, 96. running backs are just more impactful. So if you're going to pick up one of the two, it's Dobbins. Just don't expect him to light the world on fire right away.
Tony. Go ahead,
to add in a little context here. Coach John Harbaugh did say that Dobbins could play as soon as week 14 against the Steelers. So there is a chance that he does come back before the actual NFL playoffs, which makes him even more worth a stash, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. Guys, let's get into our fact or flash segment here. Let's start off with the running backs. And one I think we're not going to take too long on. This guy's been here a couple weeks now. It might be time to fully graduate him. Rachaad White had another good game yesterday. 9 carries, only 28 yards, but then 6 receptions, 41 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. Coop.
Big fact.
JL, big fact for Rachaad White.
Big facts for Rachaad White. He looks good, man. He looks very good.
Coop, fact or flash?
Fact, bro. He is a beast, man. He's good. Honestly, reminds me of Alvin Kamara a bit. The way a younger, slightly less handsome version of me. No, I think he's a star in the making, man. I think he looks really good. So he has to be rostered in every league. At this point, he probably already is.
He should be. If he was just a slightly better running back, he'd be just like you, Coop. You guys would have that in common.
Exactly.
You would have gotten 30 yards yesterday, not 28. Step up your game, Rachaad White.
No question.
It's a triple fact for Rachaad White. That one's easy peasy. The next one, maybe some more context required, but Samaje Perine, in the absence of Joe Mixon, did it again. 106 rushing yards, 49 receiving yards on 7 targets, 6 receptions. 2 weeks in a row now, we've had good weeks from him in the absence of Joe Mixon, but we expect Joe Mixon to come back. Coop, fact or flash for Samaje Perine?
Well, in the context you said Samaje Perine without Joe Mixon. That's a fact. Samaje Perine with Joe Mixon is a flash. I mean, you just can't trust him. Not at this stage of the game, right? Where you have so much riding on it. Dude, are you going to risk starting a guy that could just end up going back to the bench or just having a minor role? So only a fact as long as Joe Mixon's out. But for the time being, dude, my boy Samajma PP is crushing. So you got to get him in there anytime Joe Mixon's out. Also, just like I need to get that terrible team name mixed in at some point anytime I talk about Samaj A.
Have to.
Say it.
No,
Jay.
I'm never.
I refuse as well. I that is where I draw the line. I will say it's ass ETN season, but that is as far as I'll go.
That's way worse than Samajma PP.
At this point, it's just principle. It's not even that bad of a phrase. It's just that you told me to do it. I won't do it.
You got it, dude. I bet you during the break you probably say it just to get it off your chest.
Yeah, I mute myself. I walk downstairs into the basement and I go in the corner. I say it.
That's kind
I
of.
thought you were about to
accidentally
that's kind
say
of
it
right there.
I almost did.
You almost did.
I almost did.
It's good, dude. It's
I almost went full improv there.
It's a great one, dude.
Maria says, bye, everyone. Bye, Maria. Enjoy your day at school.
I hate when Maria has to go to school.
I know, it's the worst.
Why don't we
It's
have to go to school?
absolutely the worst. I don't know. Were you one of those kids where at the end of summer you were celebrating that you were going back to school? Like you were excited for the school year to start? Or were you like the screw this? Like I want more summer.
Yeah, I was the kind of kid that
The
like
second one?
I was excited for school, and then like once I had already worn all my new clothes to school for the first like couple days, I was like, all right, this is whack. Now I remember. I was like, now I remember why we like summer so much. But like I'm always like first day of school, I'm like, I got the fresh threads, dude, got new sneaks. This is gonna be tight, dude.
Oh, new
I
school
miss-
sneaks were the bomb.
Fire.
I miss the feeling of the first day of school swag because you've spent like a month figuring out what you're gonna wear on the first day of school, right? Like you're going shopping at the outlet malls, you hit that clearance rack, you find that sick Abercrombie and Fitch t-shirt. You're like, oh, this is the one. Or you get a little edgier and you find that like the really nice Volcom shirt at PacSun, and you're like, oh, this is gonna show everyone just how cool I am now that I'm 14 years old.
Skater boy, dude. You know what I mean? You come in just crushing, and then after a couple days, you're like, oh yeah, I have homework. You know,
Yeah,
the first day you get homework, that's when it's like that's when it hits you. You're like,
I could have just hung out with my friends in the summer.
I could have worn this outfit. I could have worn this outfit to Dairy Queen, but instead I'm wearing it to high school. Illmind Jedi in here had a question for us before we move on to our next flash or fact. He said, is Javonte Williams worth a keeper spot? It depends what you're giving up to keep him. Like if your league is one where you can pick up players off the waiver wire and keep them for a last round pick, which I know some leagues are, and Javonte Williams was dropped for some reason, that's worth it. But we don't even know for sure that Javonte Williams is going to be ready for the beginning of next season, right? Like we've seen this happen before, players with a similar injury where they're not ready to go game 1 of next year. So there's risk attached to it. It all depends on what you're giving up for that keeper spot. Like what round draft pick?
Yeah, I'm keeping him.
I'm with you.
I'm keeping him no matter what. That guy's awesome. He's still super young, man. He'll be fine.
What if
I mean, he was going as high as the second or third
Swift
round.
I'll keep Javonte Williams.
So you're keeping Javonte Williams for a second round pick because he was going that high in some drafts.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not concerned about the injury maybe limiting him next year because that's a high draft capital pick. That's where I'm concerned.
I don't know. Whatever you said, I was going to say yes to it. just because I was proving a point. Well, I mean, like you better have a stud option other than him to not keep that guy because he's a stud, man. And we've seen guys come back from injuries and be good to go. You know, he got injury hurt pretty early in the year. He's going to have a full, at a minimum 10 months, 11 months to be ready to go. I mean, seeing Adrian Peterson come back shorter time and lead the league in rushing yards. I know Adrian Peterson's built from some sort of
two of the same thing.
Metal, yeah. But I mean, I don't know, man. I think Javonte Williams is real good.
I think he's good too. I'm with Simon, or a little closer to Simon's side here, that it's probably too high of a price for me if that's how your keeper league is set up. I know keeper leagues, there's like 10 different ways that people like to set it up, but yeah, it's probably too high for like a second round pick in my mind. But it definitely depends on your other options too.
That being said, Javonte Williams great, and when he is fully healthy and ready to go, he's going to be great for fantasy.
So
that's why I would keep him. That's why I would keep him.
So are we all back on Samaje Perine getting back into Factor Flash?
Well,
without Mixon, of course.
I think that makes him he is a flash, but there's fact upside whenever Mixon is out, right? Like as a whole, this player is a flash, right? Like this is a flash in part because Mixon is out. Like that's why he's flashing right now. It's not fact that he's going to maintain this for fantasy. He's been good with the opportunity that he's been given, but Mixon's coming back. So there's a very real chance he's Alexander Madison, where he's an RB1 when the starter's hurt, and when the starter is healthy, he's an RB6. So here's what I'm saying. I'm just being annoying right now because we all agree, and I'm arguing semantics for no reason on what word we should use. So fact, as you said, JL, with an asterisk while Mixon is out. We're going to have to put the asterisk one way or another. We might as well do it that way.
And I think that's fine because what's important to fantasy managers here is predictability, right?
Yep.
Like that's what it comes down to with this is like, yes, this is recency. Like we have a small sample and it's recent and it's completely dependent on circumstances. But the point you made with Mixon being back is he's back this week, most likely. And so the end of fact is near.
Well, let's have 3 labels then. There's fact.
Yeah, I think we've already reached the end of fact where we're living in that stage of life.
We're living in the world of flash.
There's flash, fact, and factorisk.
And flacked.
So this is a factorisk.
Factorisk.
Factorisk, where he's a fact with an asterisk. On to the next one.
All right.
Is AJ Dillon fact, flash, or factorisk? I have a feeling this one's going to be a little bit similar. No, but truly, this is exactly like the Samaje Perine one for me. He's factorisk. He's a fact while Aaron Jones is out. When Aaron Jones is back, you know what? I'm going to give less of a contingency here. I've been diving into it a little bit more. I've been looking ahead. AJ Dillon, I've been poo-pooing and saying, no, I'm not going to start him. Oh, no. I think we might see a good end of season, even whenever Aaron Jones comes back. The reason being the Green Bay Packers schedule coming up. What AJ Dillon needs is for this offense to be good. He needs this offense to be ahead for the game script to favor him getting those touches, right? So they've got the Rams next, or they've got a bye. Then they've got the Rams. Then they've got the Dolphins, which is a tougher game, but they've got the Vikings and the Lions to end the season as well. So in 3 of those 4 games, I think A.J. Dillon is a startable piece. And then the Dolphins aren't some unbeatable defense. You're just going to have to hope that the Packers can keep up in that game. I'll say fact. I'm gonna take away the asterisk here. I changed my tune on this one. This is one where I initially was very out, but as I've been looking at it, I do think we see a little bit more from him over the back half here.
I'm going to go with Flash here. I'm not as optimistic. And the difference here is the carries. He's with Aaron Jones in there. He is not getting double-digit carries. And when Aaron Jones is out or injured, he got 18 carries this past week and the touchdown. So he's really touchdown dependent or Aaron Jones dependent. And I think that's going to continue. I do like the matchup, Simon. I think that's a great point to bring up. But I'm just less optimistic he's going to get 19 fantasy points going forward.
I feel you.
JL hit the nail on the head there. For me to put a guy into the fact category and put him into my lineup, I need him to have carved out at least half of the role. So I need him to at least be getting more carries than the other guy, or I need him to be playing more pass plays than the other guy. Aaron Jones is doing both. He's playing more pass plays every week, getting more carries every week. Can't trust the guy. Even if he gets, 80% of the carries inside the 5-yard line, they've only had 5 of those this year. So I mean, he's got boom bust touchdown upside any week, but unless he has a role, which right now his role is backup running back, then I can't put him in the fact category. If he was consistently getting more carries than Aaron Jones, then we'd have a different discussion, right? Because then it's like Brian Robinson versus Antonio Gibson. But right now he's just straight up in all phases playing less. So Flash.
Take it to the bank from Coop.
Smoked.
2 flashes, 1 fact, and I did not expect to be the high one on A.J. Dillon, but I just see a path to relevancy over the back quarter of this season. I wish he wasn't on bye next week. This next one hurts my feelings that we're even talking about it, and that the answer is maybe it could go either way. I'm curious what you guys have to say. Cam Akers, running back for the Los Angeles Rams, 17 rushes for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. John Luke, we talking fact or flash for Cam Akers?
Flash. Big old flash from Cam Akers. He ain't going to get 2 touchdowns every week.
You said big old flash.
Clip that, J-Ball. Clip that.
Sorry, you were in the middle of saying something, JL, about Cam
I don't
Akers.
remember what it was if I was.
You said it was a flash.
2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns he got this past week. He's not going to do that every week. This is a flash.
Yeah, it scares me that Kyren Williams played 70% of the snaps the week before, and then they just flipped it. It makes you not trust anything. So I got to say flash as well. If he does it again this week, put him back in factor flash for next week, and then I'll say fact.
Give me a triple flash here. I'm flashing Cam Akers as well in this one.
Don't do that.
Dustin in here said, I traded for Kyren Williams and Jeff Wilson this week, and they sucked it up. Well, Jeff Wilson was in about as bad of a position for a running back as you could be in, going against that 49ers D-line with the starting left tackle and right tackle out for the Dolphins. That was brutal. And then Kyren Williams just got acred. He got full-on acred. It happens to the best of them. It happened to Darrell Henderson. It's happening to Kyren Williams, and I'm sure they won't be the last back to get acred.
Won't be. By the way, I mentioned it yesterday in the show. Simon and I were facing each other in our dynasty, one of our dynasty leagues, and it came down to Alvin Kamara. Scored a whopping 4.7 points, handing me the victory this week. Simon, that was every time we play, it's always down to the wire. It feels like.
Was that the league that you guys traded each other on the Alvin Kamara trade? Is that same league or is this a different one?
No, it's a different league.
Okay.
That's our other dynasty league.
No, JL has Alvin Kamara in that league, unless he has then since traded him away.
I have then since traded him a while ago.
Good move. Nailed it. Did you get more than CJ Anderson and Doug Martin in return?
I did. I don't remember what I got, though.
It was CJ Anderson, Doug Martin, and Latavius Murray.
And a 4th-round pick.
That 4th-round pick gets it done. Dustin said Wilson got Mosterted. I shouldn't say that. I'm pretty sure. Mosterted. I'm pretty sure if I eat too much cheese, I Mosterted all the time.
Careful now.
Guys, the next player, one more running back I wanted to hit on. Mr. Bam Knight, Zonovan Knight, 15 carries, 90 rushing yards, 5 receptions for 25 yards. Coop, is this fact or flash for the Jets rookie running back, Zonovan Knight?
Zonovan People's night, dude. Told you, boys. We're in.
JK.
He got pretty much all the carries, and he split the pass work fairly evenly with Ty Johnson. So we were worried that that Zonovan Knight would be just the running down back and Ty Johnson would get all the pass work. If it's basically being split into 3/4 and if basically being split into 4 pieces and Zonovan Knight's getting 3/4 of them, give me Zonovan Knight, dude. Like he ran 26 routes, and Mike White is a check down king. So Zonovan Knight to me is locked in right now. As long as Michael Carter's out, good news. James Robinson hardly even played, barely played.
Coop, that last thing you said is why I'm giving him a factorisk. It's a fact with that asterisk. I'm not ready to crown him over Michael Carter whenever Michael Carter comes back. And Michael Carter was questionable to play Sunday against the Vikings, then was ruled out. We can see Michael Carter back this week. And I'm not going to start Zonovan Knight if Michael Carter's back in that lineup. So give me a factorisk, JL.
I have, and I'm going to side with Coop here. I'm going to go fact. Zonovan People's Night looked fantastic. And he got the work in both the rushing and the receiving game, which is what you want to see. This is an awesome outing for Zonovan Knight. And I hope that they continue to use him, even with Michael Carter back.
So get smoked, Simon.
You guys want to do an AJ Dillon versus Zonovan Knight points per game bet rest of season? Because AJ Dillon has a bye.
No.
Ooh, I don't know. Yeah,
you said one was fact and one was flash. I went the other way, so I'm just asking you guys.
That doesn't mean that I'm
put
willing
your money
to
where your mouth is.
Against each other.
Yeah,
I'll take
let you
AJ
guys.
Dillon all day.
I mean, yeah,
Let me
Joe,
think about it.
you're gonna take the
Let me
bet.
think about it.
Yeah, you can think about it. Dustin's on my side. He said AJ Dillon all the way right there. Also,
that's a way more risk on my side, it feels like.
I don't know. AJ Dillon's been pretty bad all season. It's been pretty terrible.
The highest risk is looking like a coward if you don't take this bet.
Coop, I offered
You're on
you
it.
too.
You're in it too, Coop.
No,
you picked the same that I did.
I think Jail kind of jumped in on that. There's only two running backs. Yeah, two of you guys. But I think Jail, I support you in this endeavor if you want to take it on.
Thank you, coward.
Also,
I'm not a coward.
Spooky in here saying, gentlemen, I am 10-3 and just ran away with my 12-man full PPR league. Thank you for the suggestions. This is my first time ever playing fantasy. Spooky, my man, killing it. Congratulations on your 10-3 season so far, and good luck in the playoffs. Hope you take home that title. A first-year championship feels fantastic.
Then you quit and never play again, dude.
Spooky.
Just walk off in the sunset undefeated. Never lost.
Walk off grand slam.
Spooky boy never lost.
Spooky boy never lost.
Think about it, dude.
Guys, let's move on to some wide receivers here for fact or flash. First up, we've got Indianapolis Colts wide receiver Alec Pierce. 8 targets, 4 receptions, 86 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. We thought it was going to be Michael Pittman. We thought it was going to be Paris Campbell. It was Alec Pierce instead. JL, fact or flash for Pierce?
Pierce is a rookie wide receiver.
Yes. Okay. So fact, flash, or rookie wide receiver, Coop?
I'm gonna have to go with rookie wide receiver on this one.
Okay. Yeah, and we've got a triple rookie wide receiver, which provides no additional information for you. But on to Trent Sherfield. I'm just kidding. JL, is this rookie wide receiver fact or flash?
I think this is a flash for Alec Pierce in the short term. In the long term, I think this is fact. I think Alec Pierce is talented. I think he will be a fantasy relevant player for going forward. But I don't expect 8 targets and a touchdown every single game, especially with Matt Ryan and whatever Jeff Saturday is doing over there. So I'm gonna put flash with an asterisk. Flash strix.
What about you, Coop?
Well, here's the thing with him is that he consistently is playing the 3rd most snaps. It's always Pittman playing more. It's always Paris Campbell playing more. He's the guy that comes out when they use multiple tight ends, and this team loves using multiple tight ends. So when they throw 42 times, he runs 32 routes, which is nice. That's how you get a game like we had this week. But when they throw 20 to 30 times. Now his routes are pretty low because the other guys take priority over him. So I can't call him a flash unless he was going to be one of the top 2 dogs on the team, and he's not. Flash.
Yeah. I think this is a flash, but it's like an amuse-bouche for his career that will be fact. It's just that little taste at the beginning before the meal actually begins. We're not choosing when it happens. No one predicted Alec Pierce to have this big game, but it was brought out to you. Chef's choice, your nice little amuse-bouche flash teaser before you get the full fact from Alec Pierce in his career. Because, Jale, I'm with you. The dude looks good. Like, he looks like a good NFL wide receiver. We're not going to see it this year, though. Give me flash. Flash for Mr. Alec Pierce. Triple flash.
All right,
The next
I'll
player,
go ahead. I'll go ahead and say it for everybody. What the heck's an amuse-bouche?
Yeah, thank you. Thank
I'll
God.
I'll go ahead and throw that out there. What are you talking about, dude?
it's like a little like single serving hors d'oeuvre that the chef at a restaurant will bring out to you before the meal, even before the appetizer. Like, you don't select it. It's nothing chosen. It's just a prepared, very like almost like single bite, like bite-sized appetizer or hors d'oeuvre that you can have before a meal. Generally to showcase something for the chef or to set the tone for the meal. Like, I've had like a ginger in a spoon to like cleanse your palate before you get in there. Things like that.
That's kind of fancy. That's real fancy. It makes you feel fancy, I imagine.
Now that you know the word, it's way fancier to me. I take every opportunity to say amuse-bouche out loud because it's a really fun word to say.
I'm gonna start doing that. Like, I'll go out to like a Chili's and I'll go later. I'll be like, yeah, where's the no amuse-bouche? Or they're gonna go in the back and bring me out like a spoonful of salsa. Like, here you are, sir.
With one tortilla chip
Is
in
your
it.
amuse-bouche?
Here you are, sir. I'm like, thank you.
Did you want the skillet queso or not, man? Is what they're gonna say.
That might be the most pretentious thing you could actually say. Is like when people are like, "How was dinner?"
Skillet
like,
queso.
Skillet. No, to say, well, there wasn't even an amuse-bouche. So how could it be good? You know what I mean? I think you've cracked the code.
Guys, the next wide receiver that we got to talk about, Factor Flash, is Washington Commanders rookie wide receiver Jahan Dotson. He had 5 receptions for 54 yards and a touchdown. And it's not the first time this season we've seen a big game from him. Dude has had some long touchdown seasons as well. Or not seasons, games. Coop, is Jahan Dotson a factor or a flash?
I think he's a fact here. And that's because he does play that second wide receiver role. Terry McLaurin's a split end. He's the flanker. Curtis Samuel's the guy that comes in the slot. And anytime it's a rookie, high draft pick wide receiver, I like to side with this notion that they're figuring it out and that, they're going to just continue to get better. So for me, I do think Jahan Dotson is a fact. I'd like to add him wherever available just because, he's up there. Terry McLaurin ran 45 routes. He ran 43. I want that. I want part of that. So I'm excited. I'm in. Fact me.
Dale, what about you?
This one is a little scarier. A little scarier because, I mean, before this 9-target monstrosity he had this past week, here are his targets the 3 games previous. 1 target, 2 targets, 1 target. And so that definitely is worrisome. I love to see the bump up, but it feels like this might be an overcorrection. And so I will go flash.
Well, let me throw one quick caveat in there that he got hurt and they were ramping him back up. So in those games,
that's true.
Week 10, when he first came back, he played like 40% of the snaps. So I guess sometimes I give those guys a pass. I give the guys a little bit of a pass. Sometimes.
They were using him more consistently with this past week in the beginning of the season. So Coop, I think that's a good point.
Now I will say it is a bit scary that the Falcons game, he played a decent snap share and he didn't catch any passes. So you're right. It's scary, but it's a high risk, high reward fact for me. So it's not without its flaws, JL. You're right.
He also falls in the category, I would say, similar to Alec Pierce, where I believe in that Jahan Dotson is talented. And I believe that as a rookie wide receiver, it's only up from here. And so I think even though I'm saying flash in the short term, meaning the next few games, I think long term, Jahan Dotson is the truth.
Yeah. I'm a little bit more on
Taylor Heineke's a dork, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Coop, you brought up what I was going to say here. Before he was injured, 3 out of 4 weeks, he was wide receiver 25 or better. 2 weeks as a wide receiver 2, had 1 dud week up there, but he caught 5 touchdowns in 4 games to start this season as a rookie. Coming back from injury, it's promising to see him back up there in that target range. This was his highest target total of the season, but it's more in line with his 8 targets that he was seeing at the beginning of the year to get 9 here. It is high risk, high reward whenever you plug him into your lineup, but people are plugging in guys like Gabe Davis every week. You know what I mean? Another high risk, high reward kind of player. I've got no problem plugging Jahan Dotson in. Fact.
And the one you mentioned, the dud week, he did get 8 targets in that game. He only caught 2 of them though, because his 3rd game in his NFL career, he had to go up against Darius Slay and James Bradbury. Like, talk about a welcome to the NFL week for him.
Rough.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Rough. One more wide receiver, guys, in this Factor Flash segment. Mr. Michael Gallup, wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, 4 receptions, 23 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. The touchdowns really buoying that fantasy score. John Luke, is this Factor Flash for Michael Gallup?
This is fact for Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup is what I would view as the wide receiver 2 on this team, this high-powered offense, the Dallas Cowboys, who are really finding they're hitting their stride. They're clicking. So, yeah, this is complete fact for me.
Yep. Yeah, I don't even care if he's like the wide receiver 2A, 2B here, know what I mean? If they're getting other people involved, this Dallas offense I want pieces of, and Michael Gallup looks like he's a crucial part of it. Fact. Not to mention, he was sick all week. He didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday and was just limited on Friday, and he still came out and balled. Like, so he wasn't even 100%, dude. He was very sick apparently. So Michael Gallup, baby, lock him in. We got triple fact for Michael Gallup. Guys, coming up, we've got our video game franchise draft. We are going to be drafting the best or our favorite video game franchise to see who comes up with the best team. After that, we've got our waiver wire simulator. And then, as always, if you have questions for us, make sure you throw them in the chat. We'd be more than happy to answer them. And if you're enjoying this, if you like what we're doing here, you want to see more of our faces, see more of what we're creating, head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. Hit that subscribe button and check out what we're doing over there. Good news, we've got some more shows today right there on that YouTube channel. So head on over there, hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on any of those. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just banning the porn bots real quick.
Whenever the porn bots, I will say, dude, whenever the porn bots show up, it means we're doing something good. It means that we're showing up. So, you know, they wouldn't find us if we weren't, if the live stream wasn't good. So, you know what? We welcome you here. Tinder-hot-.xyz best adult dating site. One of our biggest fans. I detach all of my self-worth to how many porn bots come into our show in the morning. If we don't get any porn bots, I go the rest of the day thinking like, what did I do wrong? Why didn't Tinder-xyz.com want to hang out with me this morning? Yeah. People ask, how was the show? I'm like, not that good. No porn bot showed up.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Because I never asked you this. When Noah was growing up, when did Noah first where you got a sense that this is what my son wanted to do?
I was really busy during his formative years. I didn't meet Noah till he was about 19.
Nice. So, your wife did a good job.
Yeah, you may want to talk to him. I would say about first vision, he started showing a legitimate interest. He started getting curious about how I prepared, what it required, and then I saw a little bit of a shift, 14, 15, where he was concentrating on the on-cameras, the interaction between play-by-play and analyst, and started probably taking mental notes at that point of the performance aspect of, okay, you do all this prep, but you got to go out and deliver it. So, yeah, probably that 14, 15 range, I thought to myself, this could be something he really wants to do.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We're about to get into our video game franchise draft. We are drafting our favorite video game franchises. Before we do that, we got B Kings in the chat saying, good morning, FYF. Good morning, B Kings. Said in a half PPR league, would y'all trade Jacobs for Barkley rest of season? Currently first, and Jacobs has the toughest playoff schedule. Coop, you trading Jacobs straight up for Saquon Barkley?
You know, like these trades, it always blows my mind that they come up. Like, was this offered to you? Like, you always got to figure out. There's a book that I love. It's called, it's now I forget the name of it. Great. It's Never Split the Difference. It's one of the best books I've ever read. And it really applies to fantasy trading, but it applies to every negotiation. And you got to figure out what the black swan is. And what they call the black swan is the reason the other person wants to do the deal. Like if someone's selling their building, why are they selling the building? Right? If someone's selling their house, why are they moving? Are they moving? What's going on? Why are they selling the house? Try and figure out what their motivation is. This person is offering you a deal straight up 1-for-1. You have to figure out what their motivation is. Why? What is the rug pull here? Neither of these guys have a bye week left. So why does he think that your guy is better than his guy? Right. So for me, I'm probably not doing any 1-for-1 trades unless the other person can give me a compelling reason. In this case, I'm just keeping Jacobs. Like he's been great. I'm worried that the Giants are kind of frauds to a certain degree and their offensive line's all banged up. Barkley has not looked good. So I'm just sticking with what I have. I'm not, the other person needs to explain to me why they want to do that trade.
But I find that premise a bit flawed because why would the only reason you do a 1-for-1 trade of players of the same position and similar value would be you think one is better than the other, right? And so, and your league mate thinks the opposite or the inverse of that. And so even if they're telling you the reason why, I don't know that you could ever trust that.
Well, that's why I said you don't ask them. You got to find it out, figure it out.
You got to figure it out. And in which case, either way, it's, they're not necessarily right because they don't, this player values are not, could very well go either. But really, there's no point.
Just make sure you do your research because you accept a trade like that. Next thing you know, tomorrow you hear Saquon Barkley has a calf strain. And then there you go. There's the black swan that you didn't figure out in the first place. So for me, I'm thinking really hard before I do these kind of trades. And my first instinct is keep Jacobs. If someone's coming to you trying to pry him away from you just for a 1-for-1.
Check out our friend Alex Peaked in High School's trade value charts, market trade value charts, because on there you can see trends. So you can see how the market is trending for each of these players. And if one is going down, the other one's going up. It's probably why.
Right. Yeah. So for me, I'm keeping Jacobs. Too good.
Big Mac in the chat saying the boys are back. The boys are back every day.
What up, Big Mac?
Go. Welcome in, Big Mac. Glad to have you here. Guys, we are going to get into our video game franchise draft. How are we determining the draft order here? Because I feel like this one might get contentious a little bit. Random? Should I pull up a random number generator right here?
I got to do random here. Oh, dude, if I get first, I'm going to take a pick that I don't even want just to spite the both of you guys.
That's what drafting is all about.
Yeah. Coop, I am randomizing a number between 1 and 3. This will be your draft pick. First overall. Coop has the number 1 pick in this draft.
I'll take Pokemon.
Well, you just got to wait. Let me get my hopes up that you're going to let it slip to us, you son of a gun.
Pokemon's on the trade block. I should wait for you guys to get your draft picks first, then, huh? Before I start drafting my player.
This will be your pick. I'm randomizing between 2 and 3 here. You got the third pick. That means I am in the middle. So, Joe, you got the turn. This is the pick I wanted least in this draft, if we're being honest, right here in the middle, never getting the turn, never getting the 2 picks in a row. But that's okay. We got the order. Never mind. We'll get there whenever we get there. Coop, you have the first overall pick. Jay's in the chat saying, I'm ready to get mad at this. Tommy's in here giving us some of his picks, saying Halo, Madden, Skylanders, top of his draft board. Coop, what's at the top of your draft board? What are you taking here? Is it what you already said?
I'm making you a trade offer right now. I'll trade you the first overall pick. I'll trade you the first overall pick in my 4th round pick for your picks in the 2nd and 3rd round.
Absolutely not. No, I will not Tony,
so
you're
hoping
blackmail.
we'd get a draft trade.
You're
going.
won't be
Pokemon
blackmailed.
blackmail. I will not be Pokemon blackmailed here.
Yeah, I will take Pokemon, and that includes all of them, dude. Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Red, whatever Pokemon just came out that you're currently playing. I'll take them all. Excellent
Pokemon
franchise, dude. Yeah, Pokemon Stadium, of course, included. Phenomenal franchise. Pokemon Go on the cell phone. Me and my mom play that a little bit.
Name 100 Pokemon, dude.
I could easily name 100 Pokemon. I got this sitting right here, dude. You act like I'm just taking Pokemon to spite you. Look, there's a freaking Blastoise right there, dog. Look out.
Nice.
There's a
Look out,
freaking
dude.
Blastoise right
What's that?
there. Yeah, well,
I gave all my cards to freaking Nick Munson.
Who's this guy?
Charizard.
Yeah, that's right, dude. He's on my team. Your pick.
All right, Simon, you're up.
It's me just throwing Pokemon cards all around my office out of frustration. I got more I can throw. I can just
because you don't own them anymore. Coop owns all your cards.
They're not even, send them to me. Mail them to me. They're not even first in my own rankings, but they're on my team.
There's a whole drawer of these. I can just keep doing this all day, Coop. I've made an absolute mess in here now. My next pick, it's the heavyweight. I got to go with it since it didn't get taken 101. I think it was worthy of the 101, even though Pokemon's my favorite. I got to go Mario here. Yeah. Just the Mario franchise in general. I get the Super Mario Brothers games. I get the Mario Kart games, the Mario Party games.
No. This is not all encompassing of the Mario. Everything in Mario's in. This is a franchise of the game. So
he gets them all, dude.
Those are two, according to franchise, like Wikipedia franchises, like Mario Kart and like Super Mario Bros. Would all be separate.
No,
franchise.
He gets that. He gets Mario Kart. He gets Super Smash Bros.
Dale, according to another list I was looking at, Mario was its own category, like just the Mario franchise. If Pokemon,
Pokemon, they're talking about games like Super Mario Part. They're talking about like Super Mario.
any game that has Mario in the name, he gets. So he doesn't get Super Smash Brothers because Mario is just one of the characters, but he gets Mario Kart. He gets Super Mario World. He gets all those.
Well, if Coop gets Pokemon Go and gets Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and gets Pokemon Coliseum and gets Pokemon Snap,
Pokemon
and
Mystery Dungeon.
It was a whole series of games where you play as the Pokemon running through. If he gets the Pokemon puzzle game, then why don't I get Mario Kart included in here? I'm going to change my pick.
There's plenty of franchises. He definitely gets you. If you pick Mario, you get all the Mario games. Why is that hard?
All right. Well, Coop has just unceremoniously backed you up. So that seems to be the way we're going here. That's fine. We'll go with that.
I see Tommy in the chat say, no, the whole shebang, Mario whole franchise here.
All right. You own the Wii. Just Nintendo. All Nintendo games will go to you.
No, he doesn't get them all, dude. You could draft like Yoshi. And
no, Coop.
Kirby.
I will not hear it. Coop. He gets them all. All right.
Dude, JL acting like this is unreasonable. Well, so predictable.
Since we've already made the decision, I mean, like, what games did you want? Did you want to take like just the Mario Kart games?
I didn't want any of them. I didn't want a single one. They weren't even in my top 100.
Well, I know where one of your picks here is going, JL, and it's an honest pick to you, but it also feels like it's gonna like feel good for you to steal one from me since I'm taking it right there.
I have no idea where I'm going here, so that is news to me.
Get 2 shots at it.
Maybe. Let's see. Let's go with Madden. I'm gonna go with Madden for one of them.
That hurts my feelings. So, dude, if I was you though, I already planned what I was gonna do, and I was gonna try and take EA Sports. Just take all the games.
It would have worked.
I mean, with the rules,
I get all of them.
You get that. That's not an EA Sports game. That's an
100%. It's an EA Sports game.
Yeah, that's just the EA.
All right,
game.
I'm gonna go. I refuse to. This one, I refuse. I will not accept this is under the Mario franchise category here. So I'm gonna go with. You know what? No, I'm gonna wait. I'll wait on that. I'm gonna go.
Get it.
I'm gonna go with. We'll go with Zelda.
No, I was hoping it would slip to me. That's the one I was talking about.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. Man,
that's a great pick, Jeff.
The first time I played the N64 Zelda game, it changed the way I think about things. Like that game is an all-time game for me. I got to get my hands on the new one to play, or any of the new ones, honestly. But that game alone is amazing.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've only ever really played Breath of the Wild. So I don't even really want this, but I just have to have it now.
You got to go back and play the Ocarina at a time, dude.
I know. I've played it, but not like on my own. I played it at like friend's house.
And A Link to the Past was one of the first video games I ever beat on the Super Nintendo. That game is still to this day in my top 5 favorite video games.
It's a very difficult game.
So good. It's so good though. It is a phenomenal game. Producer Keith in the chat saying Link to the Past is amazing. It was the first game that made me like really love video games. I feel like
listening to Simon wax poetic over this game lets me know that is a great pick by you, JL.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna trade Zelda for Mario
for the whole Mario.
I'm gonna get a package deal going.
Yeah.
Okay, that means it's my pick, and I feel like there's a couple that I want that I don't have fear of you guys taking, and where I think you're like, I'm not gonna want those. So I'm trying to be strategic here with where I go.
By the way, throw who you would draft in the chat. We want to hear your suggestions here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think where I'm going to go is potentially, besides Pokemon, my most played franchise of all time. And that's going to be the Tony Hawk games. I'm going to take the Tony Hawk franchise as my next pick. It's round 2, but it's got the nostalgia factor to it. I have hardly played any video games more. I played from Tony Hawk, the original, all the way through the underground games. It was every Tony Hawk game that came out I played. So Tony Hawk is my second pick, which means, Coop, you're on the clock for 2 picks here now.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide what to do here. I might do another dick move.
Talk it out for us.
So I'm going to take at least one shooting game here, but I might take both of the best franchises. I'm not sure if you guys care as much. I'm not sure if you play shooting games. So, like, I'll tell you right now, I have to take Call of Duty because I do really enjoy playing Call of Duty, especially the new, like, drop-in Warzone ones. So I'm going to take Call of Duty.
You got Modern Warfare 2, Coop?
And Tommy's got the question right there, dude. Tommy's got the question, which was Halo versus Call of Duty. And I might just take them both. I'm thinking about it.
What's it going to be?
Yeah. You know what? I want to get a round portfolio. So I'm not going to take both shooter games. I'm going to leave one out there for you guys. I'm going to take what is my favorite game right now, and I'm going to take I'm gonna completely pivot from.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna
Just
completely.
pick one.
I'm gonna completely pivot from all that, and I'm gonna take Grand Theft Auto. I'm gonna take Grand Theft Auto.
Oh my god!
We end up on Grand Theft Auto. After all of that, who blames us on Grand Theft Auto?
Wastes everybody's last 3 minutes and then comes in with the snag.
Yo, bro. First of all, this is my draft too. Okay.
You didn't waste your own last 3 minutes.
I get to talk with Tommy in the chat. You know, we have Halo versus Call of Duty on the same page. Producer Keith, you know, the boys, we're all talking here. You guys have to respect I got the swing, right? I took my first pick early. Okay. So those are the picks. They're awesome.
So brave.
Using the clock.
Yeah, use the clock.
Okay. That means it's my pick. I'm back on the clock. There's a couple that I'm going in between right now. And I think I'm going to take one that's like a general crowd pleaser. Everyone loves this game. People who like video games and people who don't like video games. It's multifaceted. It's great for groups. You can play it solo. And there was a long series of them. I'm going to take the Rock Band franchise. Get some drums in there. Get some guitar. Get the bass. Like, get the vocals. It's just so much fun, and it's a good party game. Rock Band.
Wasn't on my list.
Welcome.
So much fun, bro. So much fun.
Should have been on my list. I played that so much. It's a ridiculous amount. That was like the big thing with my high school group.
Yeah, play until the wee hours of the morning. We still set it up at my sister's house and get all rock on.
And there's certain songs where you just like it just instantly brings me back to Rock Band.
Anytime I hear
Christian knows the time.
Exactly.
I'll play that song. I'll play the drums and get the mic over it. I'm just like, you know,
Through the Fire and Flames.
Phil Collins. Yeah.
I heard that song the other day and I was like, oh my, it like instantly brought me back to Andres' basement playing Rock Band.
That song is super hard to play, dude.
The song.
Is that the hardest song? Is that the hardest song in the game?
It's one of the hardest for sure on guitar.
Maps by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. That one always brings me back to Rock Band. My roommate one time we were playing Rock Band. No one was doing vocals. He comes out, grabs the mic, puts it on expert, sings it perfectly, goes back to his room to study. And we were like, what the hell? We didn't know you could sing. And then he never played with us again. It was just one song where Luke came out and just killed it for us. JL, you got double picks here. In this round, Coop's taking Grand Theft Auto. I took Rock Band. What do you got next for us?
Oh, I really wanted Grand Theft Auto. I'm pretty annoyed about that one. I'm going to go Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Great game.
That's my next one. That one is so much fun, and it's grown up with me, you know? All through my life, there's been different stages of Super Smash Bros. Started with the N64 all the way up to whatever is this one on the Switch most recently, whatever that one's called.
Ultimate, I think. Who's your main, JL? Who's your go-to character on Super Smash?
Ike. Slow ass Ike.
What
With
about
that
you,
counter,
Coop?
baby?
I go back. I have 3 that I use, but I've always been a Fox guy. I like Fox, Samus.
Fox is a solid choice.
Fox, Samus, and Kirby. Kirby's super annoying, but
Fox, 100% of the time, it's guaranteed that I zoop myself off the edge and then you can't recover. His little dash where you just fall. I'm going to do that off the edge for at least 2 of my deaths every time I play as Fox because I'm bad at that game.
Fair.
But I'm a Peach. Peach and Incineroar are my go-tos. Those are my 2 favorite characters to play. JL, you got Super Smash Bros. You know what your next pick's going to be?
No. I have no idea.
You're wasting our lives.
Our lives.
Wasting our lives. All right, I'm gonna go with Gears of War.
Gears of War as your answer.
Yeah.
That's
just
a solid
so no one
choice.
can steal it from me.
That's a solid choice.
See, I never really played a ton of Gears of War, but every time I did play, it was fun. But I just never got too deep into it.
I figured you guys wouldn't go for Gears of War because I don't think Simon played it very much either. But
you gotta get your guys.
I thought someone might steal it from me because I've been such a munch this game.
We're in the round where you got to get your guys. So I'm on one of my next pick. I'm definitely getting one of my guys if he's there. So I'm doing the same thing, even if you guys don't play.
I'm gonna risk it, and the one that I really want, I'm gonna save to the last round. And here I'm gonna take another one of my favorite games. I'm going to take the Elder Scrolls series, the Skyrims, the Morrowinds, the Oblivions. I'm taking the Elder Scrolls. Those games are so much fun.
Yeah.
I have spent endless hours in Skyrim. So much time in Skyrim. Just running around doing nonsense. Give me a good open world game. I'm a problem. I'm going to play 500 hours before I advance the plot to like the quarter way point. I just like collecting.
Just doing doing crazy side quests, not even doing the actual game.
Any game where I can just collect things, I'm going to spend the majority of my time just running around collecting stuff. I think it's why I like Pokemon so much.
All right, so here's this pick I'm going to use on one of my favorite games of all time that I will buy every single year, even if they don't change it at all, which is NHL. I love playing Chell. That's always going to be in the rotation for me. So that's a personal pick.
That's hockey?
Hockey, yeah. NHL is one of the best. One of the best. Better than Madden. Madden was a huge reach and a terrible pick. But yeah, NHL, you got to get on the roster. That's one that I'm taking for myself. Now with my last pick.
The problem with NHL versus Madden, though, is NHL is hockey and Madden is football.
That's the huge problem.
So you forgot about that part.
Yeah, but it's just more fun, man. It's so dope, dude. Scoring a goal, lighting that lamp, can't beat it.
Dustin said Halo and Final Fantasy fall into the 4th round and possibly not drafted. Yeah, we're gonna have some people tilting in the chat.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Now I got to decide between whether I take Halo, which I do like and would be my pick, or whether I attempt to steal Simon's pick, which is a game that I hear him talk about many times on this podcast. I do listen to you, surprisingly, Simon. So now I got to decide if I take Halo or whether I take Civilization.
Oh, that wasn't my pick.
Oh, wasn't your pick?
Here.
Okay.
I'll
take Halo then. Thank you. All right, on to the next one. You did say that was the game that you spent the most hours playing. That's why I was thinking, well, I got to take that from him.
That can also be because one game of Civilization can take like 8 hours. Like, or you're just sitting there for like 8 hours playing the same game.
You spent the most time playing it, but you've only played it like 20 times.
Exactly. I haven't played very many times. I've just played for a long time. That brings me to my last pick and the one that I wanted to still on the board. I didn't think either of you guys were going to take this, but these games were a key part of my childhood. Sorry for the Halo fans out there. I'm not going to be drafting Halo.
I took
always
Halo.
bad.
I took Halo.
Oh, you took Halo? Thank God, because I was always bad at shooter games. Never my thing. So I'm going to think about the opposite of a shooter game as you could get. Animal Crossing. The Animal Crossing series is going to be my last pick here. There's hardly any more pleasant of a game than Animal Crossing. And I've spent countless hours just collecting furniture and talking to villagers and planting trees and picking apples and fishing and catching bugs. It's so nice.
That does sound nice.
JL,
Very nice.
you got the last pick. Halo and Animal Crossing went off the board this round. Where are you rolling here?
Man, all right. So I got to decide. Since I didn't get GTA, I'm going to get a game that reminds me of GTA, which I get just as much fun from. But there's two games that fit that category.
Uh-oh.
There are two
Sandbox.
franchises, I should say, that fit that category. The first one being Saints Row, and the second one being Red Dead Redemption, which comes from the same studio. I'm going to go Red Dead Redemption. I'm going to get that GTA feel, but I'm going to be a cowboy. Yeehaw. Yips.
I'm a
Skiddly-doo.
cowboy,
Skiddly-doo. I think that's a
baby.
great pick, Jill, because you got to get a sandbox game in there, right? He's going to take, I took GTA, he took Skyrim. You need that open world feel, right? So I think that's you really rounded out.
Well, I got Breath of the Wild, but
yeah, it's a little more cartoony.
a little cartoony. You don't get to just like murder people all the time.
We gotta put this up.
A little less violent.
We gotta get a graphic up and put these up and have people pick.
Yeah,
who
we'll
picked
throw
the
this
best
on
one.
Twitter.
I think you guys both got solid
Yeah.
ones, man. It's solid. Dude, Rock Band. I
You
forgot
too.
about Rock.
I
should have taken
I'm gonna
Guitar
rank
Hero.
these teams for everyone.
Should have taken Guitar Hero just to
Yeah,
dilute your pick. That's
It would have taken some shine off of my pick for sure. Coop, you drafted Pokemon, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, NHL, and Halo. I drafted Mario, Tony Hawk, Rock Band, The Elder Scrolls, and Animal Crossing. And then JL, you drafted Madden, Legend of Zelda, Super Smash Bros., Gears of War, and Red Dead Redemption.
strong.
I feel like people are going to have strong opinions on these. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody has like a standout team, but people are going to have strong opinions because they got strong opinions on their favorite games.
You guys did well. You drafted. I'm annoyed, which means you drafted well.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Keep saying
dude.
JL just picked George Kittle in the 5th with that last Red Dead pick.
Yeah, it's a great pick, dude.
Strong contingency for Red Dead Redemption. People love those games.
I thought I could take Tony Hawk with my last pick. I thought I was like, I'm gonna get Tony Hawk somewhere in here. Drop the ball.
Strong Style Ninja said no Assassin's Creed. LOL. Assassin's Creed. Honorable mention to Assassin's Creed. I did love those games early on.
I never played them, man. They looked so good,
Fun.
but I never played them. Maybe I should go back and play them.
They're really
Yeah,
fun.
they're a good time. I still, I think, would stand by my choices. I don't think I would throw Assassin's Creed above any of these games that I took, just because it feels a little bit of the same thing over and over again, but it's still a solid game.
The next one I would have picked for me, no one's mentioned it yet, is the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Would have been next on the list for me. Those games were so much fun. And like getting to fight as Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck in like a just pure Disney setting was so much fun. Lots of games getting mentioned here. Final Fantasy, Mortal Kombat, Marvel vs. Capcom, Mega Man.
Capcom.
Wow.
Some absolute good ones in there. And then Tommy asking us if we've ever played Skylanders. I have never played Skylanders. Have either of you guys?
No, I haven't. I heard good things though. I've heard of it. I almost went crazy and took my favorite arcade game, like actual arcade. Like when I go to an arcade, I always play, which is Time Crisis. I love those.
Time Crisis is my jam.
Yeah.
My dad, he really got into like buying arcade machines. So like our house, we like throughout my life, we had like the hockey one where it's kind of like foosball, but it's hockey instead.
Yeah.
And we had like what's it called? Missile Command. We had Pac-Man, like the stand-up machine. For the longest time, I tried convincing him to get Time Crisis 3 on eBay for like $10K. And I was like, Dad, this is such a good game. I know it's not like your type, but like I'm telling you, so be awesome to have in our living room.
The foot pedal.
It was anytime you can play.
The foot pedal revolutionized it because you weren't just shooting; you could use the foot pedal to duck and hide and stuff. Man, beautiful. Man.
Have you played recently? I play every time I go to Dave & Buster's.
Yeah, I have.
No matter what.
They get crazier and crazier.
It's kind of garbage.
Yeah. What are they like? Time Crisis 6 now, dude. It's good.
Yeah, something crazy like that. But I do love this.
I'll still
shout
play
out and I'll say an honorable mention to Devil May Cry series. I love those series. This is some of the best video games I've ever played.
I don't know if I played those.
I didn't pick them in this draft because I didn't think anybody else would like it. But
there's so many of those that I thought about that I like played like as like a kid, like, but you know, I just don't play anymore now. Like I played a ton of like Worms Armageddon and like StarCraft, but like you can't be StarCraft I could take. But
StarCraft you could definitely take.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm the Rams with no first-round picks, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, Sims, and Metroid. And then he said, oh, wait, Fallout, screw the Sims. No, Fallout. Sims belongs in there. The amount of fun you can have in a Sims game, I mean, directly proportional to how much fun you can have outside of a Sims game because it requires your creative control to make it fun. But Sims games can be a ton of fun.
Strong Style Ninja mentioned the Simpsons game. I beat the Simpsons game for the first time ever when I was in Europe.
The taxi one?
In Prague. No, the Simpsons arcade game where it's like Marge has the vacuum and Bart has the skateboard. And so we were at this like barcade in Prague, and there was this like little girl and her dad playing the game. And I was like, this is my favorite game. So we're like watching them play.
You were like, get off the machine.
We were like watching them play. And then like at one point they ran out of coins. So I like went up and I like gave the girl a coin, right, to keep playing. And then the guy was like, jump in. So me and my wife jumped in, and the four of us we just decided, you know what, we're beating this game. So we weren't playing particularly well, especially my wife, but we just kept feeding quarters in it until we actually beat the game. First time I've ever beat it. You know, I think we spent like $20 to beat it, but we beat it. And it was pretty cool, man. It was a good feeling. Because I've always wanted to beat one of those games, but I just never invested the time and the money. So it was nice to make it to the end.
Dustin says, are pinball machines video games? No, I think they are arcade games, not video games.
There's no video component.
Is where some of the new fancy ones have a video component, but I would still call them arcade games. It's not the video that makes it a game.
That's just supplementary.
It would be a game without the video as well.
The problem with pinball is you need to like sit down and like learn for like 5 minutes, like how to.
And then it always just goes straight down the gullet.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You sit there reading all these rules, and you're like, okay, I got to get 3. I got to click 3 of the letter P, and then I'll do this, and then it just goes down the middle, and you lose.
Yeah, before you even touch it, you just launch it up, and it goes directly down the center. That's what I never understood, how people are good at pinball, and they are. Like, there are people who are very good at pinball, but like, how do you avoid that?
I'm gonna be honest, guys. My strategy on every single pinball machine is the exact same. It's just smash it. Yeah, it's just the equivalent of button mashing.
The amount of pinball on Xbox that Tim Wright and I played in college is a little bit too high. An absurd amount of Xbox pinball, head-to-head matchups. We would get so into it. Like, those were our most heated video game face-offs, were in pinball on the Xbox.
You know how much Xbox pinball is too much? Any.
I disagree. You have no idea the amount of fun you could have over there.
It's a lot. Do you just use the paddles on the? I mean, actually, the Xbox controller is built perfectly for
you get to use the paddles like that. And then on the Xbox, you don't have to keep throwing quarters in, so you get to learn the map pretty well. You can just learn it while playing, and then you start figuring out all the little things that you got to do.
Put quarters in the Xbox.
Who's better at Xbox pinball? You or Tim?
Tim, for sure, without a doubt, it's Tim who's better at Xbox pinball.
Also, not surprised.
Not surprised at all. Guys, coming up, we are going to run through a waiver wire simulator, and as always, answer your fantasy football questions. So if you've got them for us, throw them in the chat, or head on over to the BSN app and hit that call in button to join us on air and ask us your question live. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo, he's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry. Okay, talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing. But overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach. Makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball's starting to bring up.
Oh, dude, it's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo, who used to get teed up in the 2000s, the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, they used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd instead of looking at like Eton Thomas, like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that, you want to know why? They're paranoid. They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not going to start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with us.
It's one thing, okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory, like about their family or something,
right,
yeah, that can incite it. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play, what? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But, like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful? You know,
it's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins the playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to my team.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to get into our waiver wire simulator. And for those of you who have not joined us for this segment before, how this works is we've set up the structure of a league. We've got the league settings, the record that each of us have, how much fab we have left, and our team needs. And we've got a list of players that are on the waiver wire. We were all given a free agent, a fab budget that we are going to work with here. We've all made our blind bids on a bunch of players that are sitting out there. And we're going to run through these players one by one, see how it plays out, which team gets who, and talk about why we added them a bit. You guys ready to get into this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Tommy in the chat also mentioned the game Frogger and said he's working on a knockoff called Hogger. He needs to get JL, Simon, and Coop across the road without getting distracted, or they get run over by producer Keith. Let's get someone. Let's get someone to make Hogger. We could probably find someone to make Hogger for us. A real quick rudimentary version of it. That'd be awesome. Get that put up there. Guys, here is the structure of this league. This is a PPR super flex league, so quarterback's a little bit more important. I am sitting near the top of the league at 10-3. I've only got $19 left in my budget, though, so I must have spent up earlier this year, and I need a running back. My running backs are getting injured. So I need a running back. Maybe they're on bye. Maybe they're injured, but I need something to fill that spot. Coop, you're sitting at 9-5. Probably in the playoffs, but probably not grabbing that bye yet at 9-5. Your team, you're pretty needy at the wide receiver and tight end position. You've been trying to make the wide receiver position work all year, but you've just been having to plug guys in, and then tight end has not been working out for you. It's been a mess. You've been playing the waiver wire, but you're trying to find something. But you have $67 left, so you've been pretty sparse on using your fab so far through the season. JL, you're in that playoff hunt, but you are 6-7. You got some business to take care of this week to maybe grab that last playoff spot. Week 14 is ever so important for your team. You're needy at QB. You had a QB go down injured, and you have $43 remaining. So you are about at that midway point with your fab. Spent a little bit more than half of it if we're starting with 100. So I've got 19 and a 10-3 record needing RB. Coop's got 67, a 9-5 record needy at wide receiver and tight end. JL, You've got $43. You're 6-7, needing quarterback. That is your position that you are the most needy at. So let's start this off. The very first player, Brock Purdy, quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. Let's check out the bids. I put in a bid of $1. JL, nothing, and Coop, nothing. So Brock Purdy is going to be added to my team for $1. The reason I put $1 in, I'm curious, JL, why you didn't put any money in. I'll ask you after that. But the reason why I put one in is this is a super flex league. Starting quarterbacks deserve to be rostered. And if I can add a starting quarterback for $1 off the waiver wire, I'm going to take my shot. I just put it in as a just in case no one else puts a bid in. I'm adding a starting quarterback to my team. They are hard to come by in super flex leagues. John Luke, no interest in Brock Purdy. Is this you thinking they're going to have another solution at quarterback?
Yeah, I part of it is that. Part of it is just not having a ton of faith in Brock Purdy. And, I think the other aspect of it is that out of all the options that are on the waiver wire this week at QB, I think there are better options than Brock Purdy. They bring in Baker Mayfield, that immediately takes Brock Purdy's value. It just vanishes it. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of my limited fab here on a QB that I don't think could or could not potentially produce here.
And we should find out about Baker Mayfield today, right? Like waivers clear on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. So we should find out if he was claimed today before waivers run. So that can affect your decisions on adding Brock Purdy.
I thought about doing what you did, Simon, just to try and block JL, because that's, you got to do that sometimes, especially in Superflex. Can't let people, QB needy teams, just get QBs. But at the same time, based on our hypothetical, I need two positions, wide receiver and tight end. So I can't be dropping my whole bench just to block JL. I got people I got to add. So I refrained from making that move. But it's something you got to think about.
Brock Purdy, welcome to the squad. Up next, we've got Zonovan Knight, running back for the Jets, currently rostered in about 40% of leagues. I put in a bid of $14. JL, $8, and Coop, nothing on that. I'm a 10-3 team, and all I need is a running back. So I clearly have a good team, and if there's a position of need, I'm going to spend up, even if I'm not fully buying into that player. I'm going to spend up for the opportunity, right? While I may not believe that Zonovan Knight has carved out this role even with Michael Carter back, there's a chance. There's a very real path for that. I can tell that story, and if I'm a 10-3 team sitting there and there's a running back with that path on the waiver wire, I'm going to spend up to grab him. So that's most of my money right there, but I'm adding them. JL, was the $8 just in case no one bids up? I'm going to add him even though I don't need running back.
Yeah, I think he is out of all the waiver wire options this week, I think he stands out to me as one that could really produce running back 2 type numbers, which is very valuable. You don't find that on the waiver wire typically in week 14. So I wanted to put some amount of money down, even if that isn't my biggest priority, and to keep him away from you, Simon, as part of that, right? Like playing a little bit of defense, knowing that people are going to probably need running backs going into the playoffs here. And I want to secure my spot here in the playoffs and to give myself the best chance throughout the playoffs.
I originally had $7 in there, JL. I originally had $7. That was the first number I typed. And
that would have been so
good. It 14. I was like, I'm not messing around. We're not playing around if my team only needs a running back. So far, I've added Brock Purdy and Zonovan Knight, but I'm down to only $4 left. So my fab is getting thin. Up next, we have Jameson Williams, wide receiver for the Lions. I put in a bid of $2, JL nothing, and Coop $11. Mine was a contingency. It was, if no one else takes him, I'll scoop him. But Coop, you came in with the $11 bid for Jameson Williams. You got some hope for him down the stretch this season?
I do, man. And I've seen it. I've seen this happen too many times, man. I mean, Christian Watson coming on, crushing. Amon-Ra St. Brown did nothing until week 12. He was wide receiver 70 through 11 weeks. He finished wide receiver 2 over the remaining weeks. We watched Odell Beckham Jr. as a rookie miss the first 4 weeks with a hamstring, come on slow, and then just straight up win leagues. So there's a real possibility that this guy could, I mean, he would have been the first wide receiver taken, according to a lot of people, if he didn't hurt his knee. And they say his knee is healthy now, so there's a real chance this guy is just awesome down the stretch. If I'm 9-5, these are the kind of guys that I want to be adding. So give me Jameson Williams, and let's see what happens.
Jameson Williams. JL, no interest in Jameson Williams for your team?
No, I don't need wide receivers really. And Jameson Williams is for the rest of this season. I'm not super hopeful that he's going to turn it into a ton of fantasy production. I completely understand Coop, your point about the upside, and I think that's a solid play for somebody who needs wide receiver. I'm just not willing to take that chance since I don't need wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Guys, up next, we've got quarterback Tyler Huntley, quarterback for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is day-to-day. I, again, put in a bit of $1 just in case he is the starting quarterback. Keep him on my team, keep him off the waiver wire. Jalen Coop, nothing for Tyler Huntley. So, again, I get a potential starting quarterback. If it doesn't end up with him starting, I drop him. It was $1 fab wasted. But if he does start, that's another starting quarterback on my team. JL, is this more faith that Lamar Jackson's not going to miss time for the reason why you didn't add him?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson will likely be back if he's going to be week to week for the latest news that we got from him. Tyler Huntley, even when he's in there, he's got the rushing upside, but I'm not as confident in his throwing ability. So I just didn't want to go after him.
Man, super flex leagues, I have such a hard time leaving starting quarterbacks on the waiver wire, even if I don't particularly need them, because you don't need them until you do. And when you do need them, there's no guarantee there's one out there for you on the waiver wire. They're just not there. It's not like other positions where you can find someone. You know what I mean? There's a real chance in your super flex leagues that there's literally no quarterback that's going to score above 0 points that week on the waiver wire. Yeah. So I pick those guys up. I prioritize them a little bit, but I get not wasting that roster spot if you don't need to.
Oh, it makes sense then.
You know what I'm starting to think?
What?
Starting to think that the Mario games should have been split into separate categories.
That's what I've been saying.
Like, dude, Mario Kart is really not anything like the. I'm just kidding. Let's move on to the next one.
That would have turned into just a straight Mario draft. It would have been like, and I take Mario Kart, and I take Mario Brothers, and I take Paper Mario, and I take Mario Party. And I take Mario Baseball, and I
get Donkey Kong.
Mario Tennis, bro. No, Mario Golf. I mean, it really is a powerful franchise. Like, if it truly is, probably could have gone 1 overall.
I think so.
Yeah, that first Mario 64 game was another mind bender. When that first one came out, it's like, what, 3D? What?
I've been replaying it on the Switch because they released the Super Mario All-Stars package, which has Super Mario 64, Super Mario Galaxy, and Super Mario Sunshine all in that package there. And Mario 64, games have come a long way controls wise from that game. I get it. It was revolutionary at the time, but one of the first 3D games, the first 3D Mario game, they were working through some bugs, man. They were working through some stuff, figuring out the controls for that one.
A little clunky. It's a bit of a grid.
But it's so much fun. It's a ton of fun.
It's like the movement for that game. They took it and they imported it over to PUBG. If you ever played that game on a controller, it's like you can tell it was made for a keyboard. You can feel yourself sometimes not moving diagonal. But anyway,
your average Joe in here saying, in my league, there are not any capable starting QBs on the waiver wire. It's dynasty, so that makes starting QBs even more scarce. Tyler Huntley was already taken last season. Yeah, dynasty definitely exacerbates the problem, makes it even bigger.
Which, you better get your guy. If you're targeting just one guy, and when there's 3 viable QBs on waivers, you better throw the bag at that guy. So we'll see.
Mike Boone is next up, and not a single one of us put a bid in on Mike Boone. Coop, no interest in Mike Boone?
Nah, that's it. Look at you right now. You have to drop 3 guys from your bench because of these weird bids you've made. But I wanted to stay away from that. Where I'm going to try and get players here because I need spots to fill. RB's not one of them, so I can't be dropping my entire team.
Yeah,
for Mike Boone.
And again, I'm realizing I've made a mistake with this next player. DJ Dallas. I did not expect to get both quarterbacks here. I fully expected the quarterback needy team to take one of them, and I was just playing some defense in case they didn't, but I got both of those guys. My plan was to get one of them. Whichever one JL didn't want would end up on my team, and then I would get Zonovan Knight, and then I could add this guy as a contingency plan. But instead, I've got both those quarterbacks, and I spent $1 on DJ Dallas, which JL or Coop did not put a bid in at all. And this is really just I need running back let's add the guy who's the likely starter if Kenneth Walker is out.
The thing about DJ Dallas is that we don't know if he's a starter, right? He's injured as well, and so I'm very concerned with that whole situation. I don't know. I'm not spending a bunch of my either my waiver priority or my fab on DJ Dallas this week or Travis Homer.
And it's why this exercise is important, because it can show you some of the mistakes and how they can pan out. Because so now Simon has dropped a bunch of people from his bench, right? Guys that we might add and help our team. And also you're down to $2 left for the season. You're 10-3, right? So down the stretch, it could come down to all of a sudden, say another quarterback gets hurt and there's just an amazing matchup that comes out of the blue for a defense. And you don't have the money to either get or to block your opponent or to add that defense for yourself. If I'm 10-3, I do like to keep a little bit of money so I can make those moves, grab like the big kicker matchup or the big defense matchup and just make sure everything is perfect. Right. So
I tried to make sure I didn't leave with nothing. And instead I'm leaving with too much.
Everything.
I have everything. We got Jeff Johnson in here with a question. He said, I'm kind of screwed at QB since I have Lamar and Watson. Who should I pick up? Jared Goff, Christian Kirk, or Tyler Huntley? We talked about Goff having a good matchup going against the Vikings, but Christian Kirk in that same game has a good matchup as well, and what's expected to be a shootout.
I'm guessing this is Kirk Cousins, not Christian Kirk.
Yeah, sorry. That's exactly what I meant, and what I was picturing, but I said Christian Kirk on accident.
I made that joke. I made that joke on Sunday, and Impemba, a very serious guy, did not appreciate me being like, well, Kirk Cousins is a pretty religious guy, so technically you're not wrong saying Christian Kirk. And he was like, okay, on to the next one.
That's a good point. That's a pretty good joke.
You got Christian Kirk and Kirk the Christian.
Kirk the Christian, yeah.
So yeah, technically not wrong, but also technically annoying joke. Anyway, so I don't know. Yeah, if you had to go straight up, those two guys, Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff, what are you going to do, Jo?
Probably going to go Kirk Cousins, and then I'd go Jared Goff. Huntley is not in the same conversation as these two guys, especially since I don't think he'll likely be the starter this week. But Kirk Cousins with Justin Jefferson and that offense, man, got to go with him.
Yeah, and it is a great matchup for it. Shootout, supposed to be close game. I love it. And Kirk's got a pretty decent schedule. He's got Colts, which is, not that great, but Giants, Packers tend it. Could be pretty good for a quarterback. So I'll go Kirk there.
I'm rolling Kirk Cousins as well. You got the triple Kirk Cousins.
Zah in here said, top of the morning, homies. What up, Zah? Said, I have Hurts. I got Hurts. Jalen Hurts. But I'm taking Huntley since the Lamar owner didn't accept any of my trades this season. Waiver wire is Dookie. That is fair. That is totally fair.
I love strong
use of Dookie.
Strong style ninja with the, because Kirk's been wearing the chains and he's getting the grill. Kirk Thuggins. That's strong. That's
Kirk
strong
wishes. He's just trying to be cool. We had another question in here from Jeff Johnson as well, saying, would you drop the Jets D to get Chiefs D, or should I just try to keep the Jets D? That Chiefs defense, we talked about their schedule down the stretch yesterday.
I was just about to pull that up.
Yeah, you gotta pick up the Chiefs defense. I feel like they've got the Broncos, the Texans, the Seahawks, and the Broncos to close out the fantasy season. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Go get that Chiefs defense. You agree, Coop, or you want the Jets D rest of the season?
Sorry, I missed. What was the first one?
Chiefs or Jets?
No, I'd rather have the. Well, what's the Jets schedule? The Chiefs have a cupcake schedule.
Jets have Buffalo, Detroit, Jacksonville, Seattle.
Yeah, Detroit. The thing is, Detroit and Seattle aren't as good as matchups as they sound when you say it out loud. You're like, oh, Detroit, haha. But Detroit's got a good offense. So I think I'd rather have Chiefs. The Chiefs have a pretty easy schedule rest of the way.
Yeah, that Chiefs schedule is difficult to get away from if you can. And Strong Style said, or stream D against the Texans. That's going to be tough to do in the playoffs. You're going to have to navigate that. You might have to roster multiple defenses. The Chiefs defense with 2 matchups against the Broncos and 1 against the Texans. Just roll with
Chiefs. Go Chiefs. They are such a solid playoff defense. I can't stress that enough. They're solid play, and then you don't have to worry about it. You only have to roster one. You don't have to do the dance every week.
We had one more defense question come in here. Zal wanted to know, pick one defense for week 14. The Bills, who are going up against the Jets. We've got the Eagles going up against the Giants. And then what was the last one? The Seahawks. And the Seahawks matchup this week, I feel like we just talked about it. They've got the Panthers this week. So are you guys rolling with the Seahawks versus the Panthers, the Eagles versus the Giants, or the Bills versus the Jets?
I think I'd go. Oh God, those are all three good options. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go Seattle, but that's tough. I'm curious to hear where you guys are gonna land on this.
Yeah,
Coop, where are you landing here?
Eagles versus the Giants, bro. Kind of like that, dude. Kind of like that. I think I would take the Eagles defense, man. The Eagles defense is good. What do you think, Simon?
Eagles defense is good, but the one area where they struggle is against the run, right? Like that's where they can be beat. And this Giants team with Saquon Barkley maybe could get a little bit of something going against them. Jail, I think give me the Bills against Mike White. Let's put it to the test. I'm not starting Mike White against the Bills. I'm not starting Mike White against the Bills because I'm scared of what the Bills defense is going to do to Mike White. So I'm going to start the Bills defense against a Mike White-led Jets offense. That's where I'm rolling. I think they're
solid pick.
It's tough though.
I'd go Seattle, very, very narrowly, Bills right after them, and then Eagles.
Eagles last.
Yep.
But these guys are close. You got three good options there. I don't know how all of those are sitting on your waiver wire. Especially Bills and Eagles. I imagine you have one of them rostered and then at least one of them's on your waiver wire.
Yeah. I mean, if you factor that in, the Bills have a couple tough matchups. Like you're not going to start them next week against the Dolphins. You're not going to start them in championship week against the Bengals. So, you got to think about how many teams you can roster, right? So I would consider the Eagles, they play the Saints championship week.
Absolutely. Before we get into our next waiver wire player, we've got a programming alert for everybody here. Better Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla is going to air tonight at 7 Eastern instead of the regular Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time, join Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla for talk about fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, the NBA, sports betting, Major League Baseball, and more. So follow for live sports action with real-time updates and track your fantasy teams and the betting lines. You can call in or chat with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, and that's tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Better Sports Network instead of the normal Wednesday time. So check it out tonight. Go hang out with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla over there. Guys, the next player on this waiver wire is Travis Homer, running back for the Seahawks. I just added DJ Dallas to the team with a bid of $1. Travis Homer's up next. I put in nothing. Jail put in nothing. And Coop put in nothing. I'm not wasting 2 roster spots on Seattle Seahawks running backs. If I'm wrong, then I'll just cut DJ Dallas and call it a day. But I'm not adding another guy onto that bench. So DJ Dallas on the team. Travis Homer is not. Jail, is this just the uncertainty there? Not worth the pickup?
Yeah, it's the same reason that I was given for DJ Dallas is we're just unsure who's going to be the main guy there. If these players are dealing with injuries and stuff, I'm just staying away from it.
Yeah, I'm
out. Up next, we've got Jerick McKinnon, running back for the Chiefs. And we've got $0 bids all around yet again, or a lack of
no bids. Yeah.
No bids, not $0 bids. No one's bidding here. No one gets Jerick McKinnon. He's staying on the waiver wire. I was really torn on this one. I was really, really torn on this one because I feel like he's startable every single week. But I was looking for a guy that could potentially kind of blow up, right? A guy that could have a full workload. And Jerick McKinnon's not going to get that. He's the third down back, and he's going to be the third down back. So I left him out there, but I was tempted as a running back needy team to throw some dough on him.
Yeah, he probably should be rostered. I don't need running back, so I didn't want to overload my team like Simon is. But Jerick McKinnon, he is a solid option if you need running back this week.
Jerick McKinnon's he's kind of what we hoped Kareem Hunt would be. Right?
Yeah.
In Cleveland?
Like we were hoping Kareem Hunt would be the passing down back. And again, you could trust him for PPR work, but he kind of hasn't been. But Jerick McKinnon, as of late, has been that guy. Like the split in Cleveland isn't as good as we thought it would be for Kareem Hunt. It's been a lot better for Nick Chubb this year.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what he is. He's not, like Sam said, he's not getting the early down work. So he's just a Kareem Hunt type.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not going to he hasn't been really relevant for fantasy outside of this past week. Honestly, he probably should have been a factor flash type of player that we threw in there because I don't expect this to continue going forward. I think it'll change depending on the game. This was a hard fought game by the Chiefs, and they were doing whatever they could to try and get some advantage over the Bengals.
I do feel like he's relatively safe though. Like his role in this offense is pretty secured compared to some of these guys. So I don't mind him as a pickup. Like he is the third down back. Isaiah Pacheco is not the third down back, and they seem to be happy with that split and carry. So I'm regretting a little bit not throwing $1 on him here. I think maybe Jerick McKinnon would be a better ad than DJ Dallas, who's also injured behind an uncertainly injured Kenneth Walker with Travis Homer barking at his heels. So maybe Jerick McKinnon was the move there instead. Up next, we've got Cam Akers. JL, you put in a bid of $2. I put in a bid of $1, and Coop put in a bid of nothing. So JL, Cam Akers has been added to your squad.
Let's go. Cam Akers, welcome to the team.
$2, dude. Nothing better than a $2 bid over somebody else's $1 bid.
$1 bid, yeah. Any $1 bid that where you win by just $1 feels like nothing else.
It's the best. The higher the number, the better it is too. Know what I mean? Like if you win like 43 to 42, then you really feel like big brain moves. You're going to give yourself all the credit, even though there was a lot of luck in there. You're going to be like, I knew it. I knew he was going to bid 42.
Nothing feels worse than bidding 42 and nobody else puts in a bid.
You also kind of bailed Simon out here because Simon's getting dangerously close to dropping every single player on.
Yeah, it's 10-3 team
and having no money left. So Simon's kind of you're probably not hurting so bad that you lost that one.
Right? Well, my bench is it was Cooper Kupp. I had Kyle Pitts. I had Elijah Mitchell on my team as well.
So you took a trip. You took a trip to Antarctica and you just got back. And there's no cell phone service out there.
Exactly. Yeah. They've all been sitting in my hour spots, and I just left my bench blank this entire time because my starters were killing it for me.
And you're 10-3.
Yeah. Every week I just recycle the bench. It's the new hotness. And I'm just trying to justify what a horrible job I've done managing my fab in this waiver wire simulator. Up next, we've got Treylon Burks, wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. I put in nothing. JL put in $6 and Coop put in $20. Mr. Big Bucks spending up right here. Tell us about your love for Treylon Burks. We know JL loves Cam Akers now, so tell us about why you love Treylon Burks.
Yeah, I mean, he officially, what I wanted to see from him was, we saw him have a big game. I wanted to see him play more snaps than one of Robert Woods or Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, and he did run more routes than him in week 12. He ran more routes than Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. To me, that's graduating to being one of the top 2 pass catchers on that team. And he came out this week and basically scored a touchdown in his first reception. He got hurt, but I am at 9-5. I'm confident I'm going to make the playoffs. I have a hole at wide receiver. This hypothetical says I need wide receiver and tight end. So I'm adding the best upside plays I can to crack my lineup. I already added Jameson Williams. Now I'm going to add Treylon Burks, and I'm hoping that's going to fix my wide receiver problem for this playoff run. So I saw that Simon had $19, and I wanted to say, hey, you know what? Simon's not getting this guy. If JL wants to spend a crazy amount on him, okay, I'll let that happen. But I'm not going to let Simon get this guy. So I said, Simon has $19 left. I'm spending $20.
You got him. You took him from me, but I didn't put that in there. I assumed I would not be getting Treylon Burks, so I put in a little contingency bid just in case you guys decided you weren't interested. But Coop, I'm with you. I think he's a must-add, a must-roster at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you guys.
Man, and had I seen these two names on here, the next 2 quarterbacks, Mike White and Jared Goff, still on the waiver wire, maybe I wouldn't have put in some bids on Brock Purdy and Tyler Huntley up there, but I must have missed them when I was scrolling a little bit earlier. Didn't see these guys' names. Mike White is the next player that we are bringing up here. I've got a bit of $1 in on Mike White. JL, $9. Coop, nothing, which means JL, you're going to add Mike White to your team.
He is the Nelson Mandela of the NFL.
Fact.
A true
I've
leader of
actually-
men.
I've heard that. Yeah, I heard that firsthand from Garrett Wilson.
Her Stanford Garrett wasn't.
I was curious what the analogy was. I was like, how is Mike White Nelson Mandela?
Nelson Mandela. Yeah, natural leader, natural born
True
leader
leader.
right there.
Mike White. So, JL,
Mike White.
is that what you were saving your money for? Was Mike White?
Yeah, absolutely. Mike White over Brock Purdy, over Tyler Huntley. Mike White, I see as having long-term value, at least in the next 3 games of fantasy playoffs. He's been doing well. This week, it's going to be tough sledding against Buffalo. It might be a bad week, and hoping that they do not try and shift off of Mike White if he does have a bad game this week, because that would be tragic.
Well, Mike White added to your squad, JL, and I don't think they're going to shift off of him. It seems like this team's pretty bought in, but we'll see how he does against the Bills. I'm not expecting it to be pretty.
Before we get on to our next player here, Jeff Johnson asked, if you had to drop one of these players to get a QB, who would you drop? Jerry Jeudy, Patterson, Cordero Patterson, Josh Palmer, George Pickens, Deshaun Watson, or Latavius Murray?
That's tough.
Wow. I'm not going to drop Deshaun Watson to get a QB. He is a QB. Deshaun Watson's going to be fine, everybody. I wouldn't worry too much about Deshaun Watson.
No, I wouldn't either. I would probably drop Patterson or Palmer.
Yeah.
Probably Palmer over the 2.
Just because down the stretch, especially if you've locked in a playoff spot, Jeff, Mike Williams is expected to be back. And Josh Palmer kind of loses a bit of that luster once Mike Williams comes home.
Yeah.
Man, just with what Palmer's done whenever Williams has been out, though, like I kind of want to hold on to him just in case. I think I dropped Patterson. Patterson's not getting that job back. It's a split at best with Algier. So I'll drop Cordero Patterson. But that hurts.
Yeah. I think that makes more sense now that I think about it a little bit. Cordero Patterson, he tweeted yesterday. This happens, I feel like, every couple of weeks, where he's like, I do not care about your fantasy teams. And it makes me mad every time. I'm like, we know, like, you don't have to say that.
Yeah, just don't say anything, dude. Yeah.
But it makes sense.
But
though,
you know
because,
why he's saying it.
Yeah, it's because people harass him. But like, you shouldn't ever expect, that should be the default expectation. Like, you should never expect an NFL player to give an F about your fantasy team. In fact, no one cares about your fantasy team except for you.
And me.
And Coop. Coop cares about every fantasy team.
That's right, dude. My favorite team of all time, not the Patriots. It's actually your fantasy team. So get those. That's such a hokey answer. Get those questions in the chat and smash that fun button. This is Front Yard Fantasy. Nah, haha. Throw Will Smith on there.
I'm Brock Purdy. You're watching Disney Channel original movie.
One of my girlfriend's friends came up to me at a wedding and said, hey, can you do the Disney Channel thing real quick? And just handed me a glow stick. And I was like, sure, no problem. And then she walked away. I have no idea what was being done with that video, but I recently did the Disney Channel thing. I hadn't thought about that in years.
There you go.
It doesn't work in real
Maria
life.
did it this weekend and with sparklers at my cousin's wedding.
See, the sparklers are the best way to do it because then it actually does drag a little bit. A glow stick, I'm just looking like an idiot, just like waving a glow stick around. It doesn't do anything.
Right.
I don't quite know what you guys are talking about, but it sounds like fun.
Mickey Mouse, you're watching Disney Channel.
You never watched Disney Channel original movies like Brink?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you're doing, I can see how that'd be.
Your Smart House?
I just wouldn't be able to picture in my head to do it. I would tell that girl. And
there was
usually
a
at
little
wedding,
intro sequence where they jump through like the film strip that's like water.
Did you do that
You're
part, Simon?
watching a Disney Channel movie.
Man, those are so
Suddenly.
good. Smart
They were pretty
Home,
good.
banger. Absolute banger. Xenon, banger.
I'm trying to think of my favorite ones. Motocrossed was absolutely one
Motocross,
of my
banger.
favorites. That one was so
Johnny
good.
Tsunami is number one. Though.
All right, we're doing a Disney Channel original
I think we're
movie
gonna have to,
draft
dude.
or bracket next week.
Xenon, girl of the
Smart House
21st
kinda
century.
scary, dude.
My first big crush was Xenon.
Your first big crush was Smart House?
Yeah, Pat from Smart House.
At the house.
It's just the way she made those smoothies just out of nowhere. And then kind of went a little crazy at the end. Yeah, that
crazy.
Was hot.
That wild, dude.
Just like, I really like your living room.
The house is pretty mean.
You can
The
lock
house-
me inside anytime.
JL, be respectful of that house. That is just rude.
I really wish I had the Smart House when I was a kid, though.
I wish I had Hey Arnold's bedroom, dude. You just press a button and everything just like starts going all crazy.
I wish I lived in that city where like nobody got kidnapped.
Although it was also very dark and like rainy. And
It was a little bit.
bad things are happening. Bad things are pretty constantly happening.
I want Arnold's room, but not his life, because That was like a middle
he said-
schooler suffering from clinical depression. Like he was
The skylight though. He had a skylight.
God,
Dude, he's
How could
also
you be depressed
dealing.
if you have a skylight?
You got to deal with like Wheezing Ed and the Rat King and
that's what I'm saying, dude.
A very
You got a
mean
tough
ice
life.
cream man. Yeah,
Your grandpa's butt chin.
yeah, a lot going on there, dude. A lot going on. We can talk about it for a while, but we got to finish this because we have like 5 minutes left.
Guys, next player up is Jahan Dotson, wide receiver for the Washington Commanders. JL, the only one who put a bid in, and he put in a $0 bid. So he's going to free add
Cha-ching.
Jahan Dotson to his team. And then one more quarterback on here, Jared Goff. JL, you put in a $10 bid. Coop and I did not put bids in. So you're going to add Jared Goff to your team as well. You got a quarterback makeover with Mike White and Jared Goff.
I'm happy with that.
Love
Very
that,
happy.
dude.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. Jared Goff going for $10 is criminal in a super flex league if he's on your waiver wire. Absolutely criminal. He should not be on the waiver wire in a super flex league. So drop everything you have on him if he's out there. Daniel Bellinger, tight end for the Giants, is up next. Coop, you were a tight end needy team, and you put $3 down on him. You've got some faith that he could be a starter?
Yeah, man. He is the starter. He played, he plays a good chunk of snaps when he's healthy. He's back healthy. He got 5 targets, caught all 5. It's a team that is missing a lot of wide receiver pass catching talent. So I'll take a shot. If I need a tight end, I'll add the guy to my roster, and then I'll assess what my best options are from week to week. So give me Daniel Bellinger. I'll add him.
How did he get his eye back in? Do you know?
They
Like
just
this?
kind of give one of these. The doctor
nice
just, yeah.
Just
You're
knocked
right
it back
there,
in.
dude.
Like those
Yeah.
sodas we talked about yesterday where like you slam the ball into the soda.
Yeah,
It's just
Levante
like that. You said Levante
right back.
David did it.
He's really good at handling balls.
And they,
Is it
it's that. Oh, I like that. That's a good joke. They just kind of. It seems like his process for recovery is they just like held up a football and they were like, "How many footballs do you see every week?" Until he said 1.
He's
And
like
then they were
89, and they're
"You're
like,
good."
close enough. Get in there.
He kept saying 2. Like, and then finally they were just like, "You're good."
It's 1 every time, man.
It's been 1 every week.
Guys, I'm going to rapid fire hit these last 3 tight ends on the waiver wire. We've got Taysom Hill, Chigozima Okonkwo, and Greg Dulcich. Taysom Hill and Okonkwo both no bids, but Coop put in $12 on Greg Dulcich, adding him to your team. And Coop, phenomenal ad getting Mr. Dulcich.
I still leave myself with $23 to scrap, whatever I need. But I added 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. I was wide receiver, tight end needy, and that's why I wasn't bidding on the RBs and QBs because I didn't have the bench spot to add 4 guys. You know what I mean? Like 4 guys is already kind of too many, so that's why I was sticking off those other guys. I don't know. You're still looking around,
but now you don't have Brock Purdy and
yeah.
Tyler Huntley and DJ Dallas on your bench.
How will I live? How will
I don't know.
And I added 2 new QBs, Mike White, Jared Goff, and then I replaced 2 of my backup or my depth pieces here at running back and wide receiver, Cam Akers and Jahan Dotson. So I'm very happy with how this all turned out.
Well, I'm glad you guys are happy.
And you have $22 left. I have 23, JL.
So yeah, next week. It's all you.
Here we go. Guys, thank you everyone for tuning in and hanging out with us this morning on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. We will be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time for some more of this. So make sure you come hang out with us tomorrow. Stick around here on the Better Sports Network app for a full day of awesome sports programming. We've got Moose and Keith coming up next, followed by Lunch Money, then Corey Nando and friends right after that. Until tomorrow morning, though, we are out of here. So long to everyone. Enjoy your Tuesday. It is not Wednesday at all. So long.
Ha-pa-pa-pa.